Chapter 4007. The next day, Xueqi arrived at Jiang Chen's residence in the Purple Pill Pavilion early in the morning. Xueqi was really considerate. He had always remembered when Jiang Chen came out of seclusion. It could be said that he attached great importance to Jiang Chen as his teacher. In Jiang Chen's courtyard, the Huang dog was running back and forth. His tough head had already smashed through a few rocks. Boring, boring, so boring. The Huang dog roared as he hit the rocks, as if he had gone mad. De Huang couldn't be blamed. With his personality, he couldn't adapt to the comfortable life in the martial pavilion at all. He was pestering Jiang Chen to take a stroll outside. The current De Huang dog's cultivation was also extremely powerful. In a short period of time, his cultivation had already reached the third heavenly layer of the origin realm. For a monster like him, breaking through could never be estimated with common sense. When he cultivated, there were almost no bottlenecks. Breaking through was just too easy. Fuck, why don't you fucking tear down my place? Jiang Chen scolded. However, not only did De Huang pretend not to hear it, but he also became even more aggressive. Boring, boring, so boring. Master dog is boring. De Huang dog had gone mad. He had turned into a mad dog. Creak. Xueqi, who had just entered, happened to see this scene. He was completely dumbfounded on the spot. Where did this dog come from? Xueqi immediately yelled. His aura fluctuated as he waved his hand to grab De Huang dog. Xueqi mistakenly thought that a mad dog had come to Jiang Chen's place and was destroying it wantonly, disturbing Jiang Chen's peaceful cultivation. How could Xueqi allow such a thing to happen? He naturally had to take the opportunity to show off in front of Jiang Chen and subdue this mad dog. Come on, fight with Master Dog. When De Huang dog saw that someone was attacking him, he wasn't angry. Instead, he was happy. The top of his head emitted a golden radiance as he crazily charged at Xueqi. Xueqi punched out with apprehension, aiming at De Huang dog's head. Stop! Jiang Chen yelled. Although De Huang dog had already reached the third heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm and had a tough head, he was still no match for Xueqi, who was at the seventh heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm. If Xueqi were to injure De Huang with his full strength, Jiang Chen didn't want to see that. Pah! Xueqi was shocked, but it was too late for him to stop. He could only retract half of his strength, but his fist still collided with De Huang dog's head. Xueqi thought to himself that it was over. He might have made a mistake because Jiang Chen had stopped him, so this dog was probably Jiang Chen's dog. Even if he withdrew half of the strength of his punch, it was still not something that a dog at the third heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm could withstand. Xueqi could almost see the scene of De Huang dog's head exploding. However, to Xueqing's astonishment, it was as if his fist had struck a piece of iron. The dog's head was too hard. Damn, it's so hard. Xueqing's eyes widened. When he looked at De Huang dog again, his eyes had already changed. How could a dog's head be so hard? Not only was it unscathed after colliding with his fist head-on, but his fist was even a little numb from the impact. Where did these monsters come from? Jiang Chen's strength was already shocking enough, but he had never thought that the dog beside him was also this ferocious. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if someone beat him to death. That's right. Not bad. Your fist is pretty hard. De Huang dog praised. De Huang, behave yourself, Jiang Chen said. De Huang dog was also very tactful. He knew that this person must have something to say to Jiang Chen, and he had indeed vented his anger. Xueqi, what's the matter? Jiang Chen asked. Teacher, it's my birthday in 2 days. At that time, I will hold a banquet in the Shenwu Villa of the Shenwu City, and invite some of the young geniuses of the Martial Pavilion and the Shenwu City. I wonder if teacher has time? Xueqi said. He didn't beat around the bush and directly stated his intention. Yes, yes, yes. The day after tomorrow? Shenwu Villa, right? No problem. We will definitely be there on time. Before Jiang Chen could say anything, De Huang dog had already agreed on his behalf. Jiang Chen shook his head helplessly. This guy was about to go crazy. If he didn't take him out for a walk, the next time, he wouldn't just smash the stones in his courtyard, but directly demolish the house. Xueqing's face was full of joy. He gave De Huang dog a thumbs up, but he still looked at Jiang Chen eagerly. Whether to go or not, it still depended on Jiang Chen's approvals. Xueqi had already thought about it. The day after tomorrow, He would gather the young geniuses of the Martial Pavilion and the Xinwu city and give them a grand introduction to Jiang Chen. He would let them know what a true godly person was. All right, I will be there on time. Jiang Chen nodded and agreed. After all, he had nothing to do after coming out of seclusion. It wasn't a bad idea to go to the Xinwu villa and treat it as a way to relax. Moreover, he had to give face to the young city lord of the Xinwu city. Moreover, he took the initiative to invite him and called him teacher. It wouldn't be appropriate not to give him face. More importantly, Jiang Chen's impression of Xueqi wasn't bad. He had seen too many young lords like Xueqi. Each and every one of them was arrogant, arrogant, and arrogant. It was rare to see someone like Xueqi. All right, then I will wait for you at the Xinwu villa. Xueqi was very happy. In Xueqi's opinion, being able to invite Jiang Chen made him more excited than inviting anyone else. Ever since that day at the Qingyuan Thunderpool, Xueqi had wholeheartedly wanted to be with Jiang Chen. If Jiang Chen asked to accept Xueqi as a disciple now, Xueqi would probably directly acknowledge him as his teacher without any hesitation. Not long after Xueqi left, Feng Tianhua and the other two arrived. Feng Tianhua's grandson, Feng Wei, also came along. Compared to before, these four people had undergone earth-shattering changes. Feng Tianhua and the other two's cultivation had directly reached the Earth Source realm. They had crossed a major realm. All of them were arrogant and even walked with the wind. Feng Wei's cultivation had already reached the peak of the 5th level of the Unity Source realm. In his opinion, such a great improvement was unbelievable. It was something he didn't dare to imagine before. All of this was given to them by Jiang Chen. Master. Ancestral Master. The four of them spoke at the same time and bowed deeply to Jiang Chen. In their eyes, Jiang Chen was a genuine god. They couldn't have the slightest bit of blasphemy. Well, they're all good. It's about what I expected. Jiang Chen nodded. The changes in these four people were all within his expectations. With his eyesight, he could even see through these people's talent and potential and determine the limits of their cultivation. It's all thanks to Master, Wang Dongxue said. That's right. If it weren't for Ancestral Master's guidance, how could I have improved so quickly? I really deserve to die for offending Ancestral Master before. Chapter 4008. I have nothing to do in the next 2 days. I'll give you pointers on alchemy. I'll answer the problems that the three of you have encountered in alchemy one by one, Jiang Chen said. Since he had accepted these three people as his disciples, he naturally had to act like a master. It just so happened that he had nothing to do in the next 2 days. Helping Feng Tianhua and the others solve their problems was also something that he could do in passing. Hearing this, Feng Tianhua and the other two were overjoyed, especially Feng Tianhua. He almost jumped up on the spot. They had seen Jiang Chen's alchemy with their own eyes. That terrifying alchemy technique could only be described as shocking. They had lived for more than half of their lives, just like Chong Wanshan, studying formations and alchemy wholeheartedly. They had long accumulated all kinds of problems, and these problems were like a sore spot. If they didn't come out, they wouldn't be happy, but if they wanted to get rid of them, how difficult would it be? Thank you, Master, Wang Dongxue said excitedly. This time, they had come to look for Jiang Chen with the same intention. The last time they came to acknowledge him as their master, Jiang Chen had refined the rejuvenation pill for them, which allowed their potential to be developed again and their cultivation to improve. This time, they began to want to get pointers on alchemy. If all the problems that they had accumulated over the years could be solved, it could be said to be an earth-shattering change for the three of them. Their attainments in alchemy would definitely take a qualitative leap. In the next 2 days, Jiang Chen did not find it troublesome. He guided them one by one, just like how he had guided the everlasting pavilion before. During these 2 days, people could often be heard screaming, cheering, and howling in Jiang Chen's residence. Feng Wei saw with his own eyes the 3 powerful Earth Source Realm Elders of the Purple Pill Pavilion. From time to time, they would jump 3 feet high like a child and shout excitedly. Feng Wei could understand that feeling. Previously, when Jiang Chen helped him with the Scorching Sun Finger, he was also like this. The 3 old guys were now extremely excited. Under Jiang Chen's guidance, they often felt enlightened and enlightened. After 2 days, the 3 of them were all in high spirits, looking 10 years younger. A god. Master really is a god. He solved all my problems. I feel like my alchemy skills are going to make a huge leap. This enlightenment will be a great help to my cultivation. If nothing goes wrong, I'll be able to reach the second heavenly layer of the Earth Source realm in half a month at most. This is fantastic. That's right. Master is omniscient. His attainments in alchemy have already reached the point of perfection. Our questions can always be answered by Master. This is a true alchemy master. I swear that I'll definitely learn alchemy from Master in the future. Although I've lived for most of my life, everything I've learned is nothing compared to Master. No, I can't even buy skin. There's just too much for me to learn. The three of them were filled with emotion. To outsiders, their words sounded like they were flattering Jiang Chen, but in their hearts, it was not flattery at all. They were words from the bottom of their hearts. They could not even think of any better words to express their feelings, but these words were far from enough to express the respect and worship they had for Jiang Chen. Feng Wei also admired and respected Jiang Chen. He had truly witnessed Jiang Chen's abilities and finally understood why his grandfather had taken Jiang Chen as his master. With such world-shaking alchemy skills, even the pavilion master of the Purple Pill Pavilion would not be able to help but take Jiang Chen as his master. All right, go back and comprehend it. I still have matters to attend to today, Jiang Chen said. All right, we're going. Feng Tianhua and the other two cupped their fists at Jiang Chen and left. The three of them had obtained great benefits and needed time to go back and digest them. Even if Jiang Chen did not let them go, they could not wait any longer. After Feng Tianhua and the other three left, Jiang Chen left the martial pavilion with De Huang, who could not wait any longer, and headed in the direction of the Divine Martial Villa. The Divine Martial Villa was located in the southeast corner of the Divine Martial City. The place was extremely remote and uninhabited. Such a place could be said to have left the Divine Martial City. However, this did not affect the prestige of the Divine Martial Villa. Everyone knew that the owner of the Divine Martial Villa was the young city lord of the Divine Martial City, Xueqi. Although this place was remote, it was an extremely noble and luxurious place in the Divine Martial City. One could not enter this place just by having money. If one wanted to enter the Divine Martial Villa, one must have a high status. Today, the Divine Martial Villa was destined to be very lively. It was the birthday of the young city lord, and it was a gathering place for the young talents of the Divine Martial City. Early in the morning, the Divine Martial Villa was bustling with activity. Countless servants and maids came and went. The guards of the Divine Martial Villa almost surrounded the entire villa. Everyone knew that the city lord of the Divine Martial City was a heavenly source expert. Even within the Martial Pavilion, only a few pavilion masters could speak to him as an equal. Furthermore, the city lord only had a single son. From this, one could see Xueqing's status and identity in the Divine Martial City. Within the Martial Pavilion, no one dared to provoke him. With such a backer, no matter where he went, he would naturally be able to do whatever he wanted. Jiang Chen had also learned about the Divine Martial City from the Martial Pavilion. He knew that in addition to the Martial Pavilion and the City Lord's residence, there was another major force in the Divine Martial City, and that was the Yun residence. The Martial Pavilion was the leader of the humans in the Crimson East region. Whether it was the City Lord's residence or the Yun residence, they had to give the Martial Pavilion face. In other words, if something big happened, such as a war with the winged people, the City Lord's residence and the Yun residence would have to listen to the Martial Pavilion's arrangements. The relationship between the City Lord's residence and the Yun residence was relatively harmonious. The environment in the Crimson East region was different from where Jiang Chen was previously. Due to the pressure from the winged people, there were very few internal conflicts among the humans. This kind of atmosphere was relatively rare. Jiang Chen and a Huang dog had arrived relatively early. When they arrived at the Divine Martial Villa, it was just after dawn. Many of the distinguished guests had not arrived yet, so they were probably the first batch. In front of the mighty gate of the Divine Martial Villa, a row of guards in battle armor stood majestically with long spears in their hands. These guards were all experts at the Unity Origin realm. They were elites nurtured by the City Lord's residence and had experienced hundreds of battles. Every one of them was an expert among experts. Today, they had been sent to guard the Divine Martial Villa, which showed how much the City Lord valued his son. In the Crimson East region, the conflict between the humans and the winged people was too intense. Even in the Divine Martial City, the winged people were everywhere. Today, the security measures had to be done well. If the winged people were to sneak in and take advantage of a loophole, the consequences would be unimaginable. It should be known that some of the winged people looked exactly like humans without their wings. Unless an expert could distinguish them by their aura, it would be very difficult for ordinary people to tell whether they were winged people or not. Therefore, the security measures had to be done well. Jiang Chen and a Huang dog swaggered to the gate of the Divine Martial Villa, but they were stopped by the guards. "Stop!" a burly man shouted. "Damn it! Why are you shouting so loudly? You scared this Lord Dog." De Huang dog bared his teeth and glared at the guard. "What are you doing here? Do you have an invitation?" The guard asked. "Invitation? Oh. Chapter 4009. You don't have an invitation? Why are you here if you don't have one? This is the Divine Martial Manor. Open your eyes wide and take a good look. This is a place of great wealth. Today is our young master's birthday party, and all the famous youths of the Divine Martial City have been invited. Look at how poor you are. Hurry up and leave. Don't be an eyesore here." When the guard heard that Jiang Chen didn't have an invitation, his words immediately became sharp and unkind. He really didn't give Jiang Chen any face at all. His words were as ugly as they could be. Jiang Chen was stunned. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he almost burst out laughing. Poor and shabby? Did he look that poor? Go tell your young master that Jiang Chen has come, but he doesn't have an invitation, Jiang Chen said. Although he was a little angry, he still wanted to save some face for Xueqi. "Brat, who do you think you are? You don't have the right to enter the Divine Martial Manor without an invitation. Hurry up and leave. Don't delay the important event of the Divine Martial Manor today." The bulky man was extremely arrogant. He looked down on Jiang Chen from head to toe. How could a person without an invitation be so arrogant? Moreover, even if you have an invitation, you can't enter. You can't bring animals into the Divine Martial Manor. Another bulky man walked over. He was quite strong, having already reached the 4th heavenly layer of the Origin Realm. He was an elite guard of the City Lord's estate. "Who are you calling an animal?" As expected, this word immediately angered De Huang dog, who was about to explode. De Huang dog bared his teeth and glared at the bulky man. De Huang clearly remembered that 2 days ago, it was Xueqi who had gone to Jiang Chen's residence to invite Jiang Chen to the Divine Martial Manor. Xueqi had called Jiang Chen teacher in a very intimate manner. In the end, because of an invitation, Jiang Chen had been humiliated and called poor. De Huang dog was about to explode, but this bastard had said that animals couldn't enter. How could the mighty De Huang dog endure such humiliation? "You dog, are you not an animal? What kind of place was the Divine Martial Manor? How could a dog be allowed in? Hurry up and get lost. Don't be an eyesore here. If you don't get lost, don't blame us for being impolite. Today is the young master's big day. We don't want to fight here." The leading guard was extremely arrogant. Of course, as an elite guard of the City Lord's estate, he had the right to be arrogant. Moreover, his cultivation had already reached the 4th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm, so he had unknowingly placed himself in a very high position. Go to hell. How could De Huang dog tolerate such humiliation? If you don't want to make a move, Lord Dog won't even give you the chance to make a move. De Huang dog's majestic body leapt out like a bolt of lightning, slamming into the chest of the 4th heavenly layer Unity Realm guard. The guard, who had been extremely arrogant just a moment ago, didn't even have a chance to react. He let out an anguished wail as his entire body was sent flying. The guard was sent flying over 30 meters away. He fell to the ground and fainted on the spot. The remaining guards were dumbfounded. Their gazes towards Big Yellow were filled with shock. A 4th heavenly layer Unity Origin expert had actually been so weak before this dog. He had been finished off like a piece of rotten wood. He did not even have the chance to resist. Boom, however, in the next moment, the guards unleashed their auras one by one. Every single one of them was furious, and with a swoosh, they surrounded Jiang Chen and De Huang dog. Where did these ignorant fools come from? How dare they cause trouble in the Divine Martial Manor? A man shouted out loudly. Although Big Yellow had displayed an extremely powerful strength, it wasn't a reason for them to retreat. Their main mission was to protect the Divine Martial Manor, and ensure that nothing bad would happen to this place. Now that someone had come here to cause trouble, they obviously couldn't just stand there and watch. Moreover, these guards weren't afraid at all. They had the City Lord's estate behind them. In the entire Crimson East region, there was probably no one who had the courage to cause trouble in the Divine Martial Manor. It's you who are ignorant and have provoked this master dog. This master dog will properly teach you all a lesson today. De Huang dog possessed extraordinary might. Waves of qi surged from his body as he charged out once again with his majestic body. De Huang dog turned into a streak of golden light as he charged back and forth. The guards didn't even have a chance to react. A series of anguished wails rang out as all the gods were sent flying. They were sent flying over 30 meters away. However, they were all scattered on the ground in front of the entrance of the divine martial manor. Some had fainted on the spot, while others were howling in pain on the ground. Gagaga, for God's sake, you dare to be rude to this master dog? This is a lesson. De Huang dog cackled with boundless arrogance. De Huang dog was probably the first person who dared to injure people in the divine martial manner. Jiang Chen stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. He didn't move at all and didn't intend to step forward to stop them. These ignorant guys were really asking for a beating. Even if De Huang dog didn't attack, he couldn't help but attack. At this moment, there were already people coming and going to the divine martial manor. Many of them were the young geniuses of the divine martial city. There were many forces in the divine martial city. For example, the city lord's estate and the Yun mansion had many young geniuses who didn't enter the martial pavilion to cultivate. They had many cultivation resources themselves. Some of them went to the martial pavilion to gain experience and make friends with the martial pavilion. Moreover, although Jiang Chen was famous in the martial pavilion, there were still many people who hadn't seen him before. For example, the people who appeared now didn't know Jiang Chen. Look, someone dares to attack in the divine martial manor. Who is this guy? He's so arrogant. He's really not afraid of death. What kind of place is the divine martial manor? He must be tired of living to injure people here. He's blind. Today is Xueqing's birthday. Even the divine martial guards of the city lord's estate have come on such an important day. This guy allowed his dog to injure the divine martial guards. I'm afraid the consequences won't be good. 4 or 5 young people laughed and watched the show with great interest. The commotion outside the gate of the divine martial manor quickly caused a great commotion. A large number of people began to walk out of the manor. Most of them were servants and maids who worked here. There were even more divine martial gods. Because today was a relatively important day, many divine martial guards had come. It could be said that there were as many experts as there were clouds. One of the captains of the divine martial guards, Kong Ming, wore a battle armor and looked majestic. His cultivation was powerful, having already reached the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. The battle in the divine martial manor had directly alarmed him. Outside the gate, with Kong Ming at the head, several dozen divine martial guards stood in front of Jiang Chen and De Huang dog in a furious manner. Hey, this aura is very intimidating. Let that kid Xueqi come out. De Huang dog shouted. Stupid dog, are you the one to shout our young master's name? Chapter 40:10. The divine guards were ready to fight. Captain Kong Ming looked at the divine guards who were wailing on the ground. His face instantly turned gloomy. He raised his arm and waved. Voila! Dozens of divine guards understood and surrounded Jiang Chen and De Huang dog tightly. Each of them was filled with murderous intent. It seemed that they wanted to eat Jiang Chen alive. It seems that I shouldn't have come to the divine martial villa, Jiang Chen said in an indifferent tone. You shouldn't have come. After all, this is not a place that anyone can come to. However, since you have come and injured the divine guards, don't think of leaving so easily. Kong Ming said indifferently. Who is this guy? He looks like a stranger. Is there such a crazy person in the divine martial city? I've never seen him before. He doesn't even have an invitation. How big of a character can he be? He's not even in Xueqing's invitation list. He must be trying to find some sense of existence in the divine martial villa, but he was stopped by the divine guards. However, this guy is really arrogant. Or rather, he doesn't know what's good for him. He dared to injure the divine guards. How dare he? The divine guards are the symbol of the city lord. He must be dreaming if he wants to leave unscathed after injuring them. Some people were pointing and mocking Jiang Chen. Because Jiang Chen and Big Yellow had arrived early, the geniuses of the martial pavilion hadn't arrived yet. Even Xueqi himself hadn't arrived yet. As for Jiang Chen, he had never appeared in any other places in the divine martial city apart from the martial pavilion. Therefore, it was normal for no one to recognize him. If someone recognized Jiang Chen's identity, they would definitely rush to stop the divine guards. This was the person that Xueqi wanted to curry favor with. If Xueqi knew that the divine guards dared to stop Jiang Chen, he would definitely be furious. Little Chenzi, do you want to fight them? These guys look like they need a beating. De Huang Dog shook his head and said without any hesitation. Damn dog, what did you say? A divine god shouted. Lord Dog said that you deserve a beating. De Huang Dog glared at the man, and it looked like he was going to hit him if he didn't agree. Boom, waves of anger were released from the bodies of these divine martial guards. As long as Kong Ming gave the order, the divine martial guards would rush forward without mercy. De Huang. Jiang Chen shouted, indicating for De Huang to stop. He didn't want to have an unpleasant relationship with the city lord mansion. After all, these divine martial guards didn't know about his relationship with Xueqi. I won't be attending today's gathering. Goodbye. Jiang Chen said to Kong Ming before turning around to leave. Stop right there. Kong Ming shouted, Brat, where do you think this is? You think you can come and go as you please? No one can leave so easily after injuring a divine martial guard. What do you want? Jiang Chen turned around, squinted his eyes and said with a smile. I'll give you two choices. First, leave behind your legs and your dog. We'll use them to make soup. Second, leave behind 100,000 second-grade origin stones as compensation for the loss of our brothers. We'll let you leave safely. Kong Ming said. As soon as he finished speaking, De Huang Dog howled and leapt out. If it weren't for Jiang Chen's quick reaction, grabbing onto De Huang Dog's tail, a huge battle would have immediately begun. Fuck you. You dare to eat this, Lord Dog? Take a look at your own teeth first. De Huang Dog howled. It seemed like he wanted to tear down the divine martial manor to vent his anger. Don't be impatient. There will be a chance for you to vent your anger. Jiang Chen said indifferently, comforting De Huang. He wasn't afraid of Kong Ming at all. If Jiang Chen went all out, even Kong Ming, who was at the 8th layer of the Unity Origin realm, wouldn't be a match for him. Kong Ming's two conditions were extremely excessive. Needless to say, the first condition was almost impossible, and the second condition was also excessive. One had to know that it was almost impossible for ordinary Unity Origin cultivators, especially those at the lower levels of the Unity Origin realm, to take out 100,000 second-grade Origin stones. Origin stones had to be used up on a daily basis. An ordinary cultivator would only have a few Origin stones left to support their cultivation. Even if they did have some left, it wouldn't be a lot. This was also why cultivators had to work hard for Origin stones their entire lives. This brat has hit an iron wall this time. How can an ordinary person take out 100,000 second-grade Origin stones? What do you think the Divine Martial Guard is? How can he not pay a price for beating up a Divine Martial Guard? Hee, I'd like to see how this brat, who dares to injure a Divine Martial Guard, will settle today's matter. The onlookers began to increase. They were all here to watch a good show. They all wanted to see how the man and dog before them would deal with the two extremely excessive conditions that Kong Ming had proposed. Kong Ming had a complacent smile on his face. He looked at Jiang Chen, waiting for Jiang Chen to kneel on the ground and beg for mercy. Unexpectedly, Jiang Chen flipped his palm and a green interspatial ring appeared in his hand. He casually threw the ring to Kong Ming. Here are 100,000 second-grade Origin stones, Jiang Chen said. After that, he turned around and left with De Huang Dog. He casually threw 100,000 as if nothing had happened. His calmness stunned everyone present. Kong Ming was stunned on the spot. With a thought, he found that there were indeed 100,000 second-grade Origin stones in the interspatial ring. Not one more, not one less. This is bad. Kong Ming stamped his foot and thought, this is bad. As an expert of the 8th firmament of the Unity Origin realm and the captain of the Divine Martial Guard, he naturally knew more than ordinary people. Among all the Unity Origin realm experts in the entire Divine Martial City, how many people could casually take out 100,000 second-grade Origin stones without any hesitation? It wasn't that there weren't such people, but they were definitely big shots. At the very least, they were big shots that a captain like him couldn't afford to offend. Who is this person? He casually took out 100,000 second-grade Origin stones. That's amazing. He's hiding his strength well. A person like that shouldn't have an invitation letter. That's amazing. 100,000 second-grade Origin stones. He threw it away like trash. He's definitely not an ordinary person. Everyone's expression changed. Even the members of the Divine Martial Guard were dumbfounded. They all lowered their heads and didn't say anything. 100,000 second-grade origin stones seemed like a great deal, but in reality, they were very nervous because they might have offended someone they shouldn't have offended. De Huang Dog, who had already walked far away, was still mumbling. Damn it, this Lord Dog is going to die from anger. Who does this Xueqi think he is? And you, why did you swallow your anger and give them 100,000 second-grade origin stones? This Lord Dog is going to die from anger. Don't be angry. Anger is harmful to the body. Xueqi probably forgot about the invitation. There's no need for us to make things difficult for the city lord over such a small matter. Moreover, you didn't lose anything. As for the 100,000 second-grade origin stones, do you think that bastard has the guts to accept my origin stones? Jiang Chen laughed. Chapter 40:11. After Jiang Chen left, Kong Ming felt uneasy. He kept thinking about Jiang Chen's identity. He couldn't guess it, but he had a bad premonition. Anyone who could take out 100,000 second-grade origin stones was definitely not an ordinary person. Captain, we've made a profit this time. 100,000 second-grade origin stones. A hot-headed guard came in front of Kong Ming and said with a cheeky smile. Pah! Kong Ming was so angry that he swung a slap at him. Captain, why did you hit me? The guard felt extremely wronged. He didn't know what he had said wrong. 100,000 grade 2 origin stones was already a huge profit. The guards who had been injured were all superficial wounds, so they weren't serious at all. 100,000 grade 2 origin stones was still a profit no matter what. Wake him up for me. Kong Ming pointed at the guard who had been knocked out by De Huang Dog and said. The guard who had been slapped responded with an "Oh." He came in front of the guard and injected a stream of origin chi into the guard's body. The guard howled and woke up. He was an expert at the fourth heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Although he had been knocked out, he hadn't suffered any serious injuries. After waking up and seeing Kong Ming, he hurriedly got up. Captain, we can't let that brat go, especially that dog. If I don't rip his ass off, I won't be able to vent my anger. The guard gnashed his teeth and complained to Kong Ming. All right, let me ask you. Did that person tell you where he came from? Kong Ming asked impatiently. No. He only said that he was called Jiang Chen. The guard thought for a while and only remembered this. What's wrong, Captain? Is there a problem? All right, continue with your work. Kong Ming waved his hand. He was very upset and didn't want to talk much. He could only pray that Jiang Chen wasn't some big shot. If he was, he might have kicked an iron plate today. However, when Jiang Chen came, he did not bring an invitation letter. This was the most gratifying thing for Kong Ming. Without an invitation letter, it meant that he was not invited by the young master. As long as he was not invited by the young master, there would be no problem. No matter how high his status was, the city lord's mansion was not afraid. Even so, Kong Ming still felt very uneasy. As time passed, more and more people arrived at the Divine Martial Mountain Villa. The first batch consisted of young talents from the Divine Martial City, sons of wealthy merchants, and geniuses from the Yun clan. Soon after, many geniuses from the Martial Pavilion also arrived. Most of them were people who had a good personal relationship with Xueqi in the Martial Pavilion and were invited by Xueqi. Xueqi had invited so many young talents, the top figures of the younger generation, not only for his birthday, but also for a bigger purpose, which was to introduce Jiang Chen to others. He wanted to place Jiang Chen's position in a very high position, and truly close the relationship between him and Jiang Chen. As long as he maintained a good relationship with Jiang Chen, he could often seek guidance from Jiang Chen in the future, which was absolutely beneficial to his cultivation. After a while, the Divine Martial Mountain Villa became really lively. Almost all the people who should come had arrived. Xueqi, who was wearing an azure robe, was handsome, elegant, and had an imposing appearance. No matter where he went, he would be the center of attention. The public square of the Divine Martial Mountain Villa was full of guests. Those who could come here were all people with a high status in the Divine Martial City, and they were people who could be seen in public. Xueqi, who was glowing, was pacing back and forth, looking outside from time to time. Seeing that the banquet was about to start, he looked unhappy. Young master, almost everyone has arrived. Do you want to say a few words? Kong Ming came to Xueqing's side and said. At this moment, Kong Ming had almost forgotten about Jiang Chen. Wait a little longer. Xueqing frowned. Senior Xie, is there anyone else? A disciple in the martial pavilion who was on good terms with Xueqing couldn't help but ask. This person was the one who had helped Xueqing look after Jiang Chen in the Qingyuan Thunderbolt pool. I invited teacher, and he should be here by now, Xueqing said. So Senior Xie invited Senior Jiang Chen. It would be great if Senior Jiang Chen could come, the disciple said. When he thought of Jiang Chen, his attitude and tone changed, and his eyes flickered with admiration and worship. Boom! The name Jiang Chen suddenly sounded again. Kong Ming only felt a bang in his head, as if he had been struck by lightning. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. Yes, it can't be such a coincidence. The Jiang Chen mentioned by the disciple must be the Jiang Chen who came before. It turned out that he was an important guest invited by young master. He had made a big mistake. Young master clearly wanted to wait for Jiang Chen to come before he was willing to start the banquet, which showed the importance of Jiang Chen. Moreover, when the disciple next to him kicked Jiang Chen, his tone was full of admiration. Young master, Jiang Chen has already been here. Kong Ming said, shivering. Been here? Where is he? Did he receive any good treatment? Xueqing's eyes lit up, and his face was full of joy. The fact that Jiang Chen could come was what he had been looking forward to the most. Kong Ming's face was ugly, with bruises all over. He didn't know what to say. What's going on? Say it. Xueqing scolded. Young master, we didn't know that Jiang Chen was an important guest invited by you, so... Kong Ming gathered his courage and didn't dare to be the slightest bit slow. He told Xueqing everything that had happened outside the Divine Martial Mountain Villa in full detail. After hearing Kong Ming's words, Xueqing felt like the world was spinning. He staggered and almost fell on his butt. Young master, you didn't give us any special instructions. Moreover, that Jiang Chen didn't have an invitation, so there was a misunderstanding. Kong Ming also had an innocent look on his face. If he had known that Jiang Chen was an important guest invited by Xueqing, he wouldn't have dared to be rude to Jiang Chen even if he was 100 times more courageous. Xueqing slapped his forehead. He had actually forgotten to give Jiang Chen an invitation. This was also an oversight. The invitation had been sent out a long time ago, and Jiang Chen hadn't come out of seclusion. Xueqing had only gone to personally invite him 2 days ago, so he had forgotten to bring the invitation. However, this bunch of good-for-nothings were too reckless. A bunch of good-for-nothings. Where are the 100,000 Grade 2 origin stones? Xueqing yelled loudly and kicked Kong Ming far away. Kong Ming hurriedly took out his universe ring and respectfully handed it over to Xueqing. Bastard, you even dare to take teacher's origin stones. I can't even give them away. Xueqing said bitterly. The divine martial guards also walked over, all of them silent out of fear. If Xueqing lost his temper, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Kong Ming, immediately come with me to apologize to teacher. If teacher doesn't forgive you, I will take your head. Xueqing said unhappily. Yes. Kong Ming was so scared that his forehead was covered in sweat. He knew that he had gotten into trouble the moment Jiang Chen had casually taken out the 100,000 Grade 2 origin stones. Chapter 40:12. Xueqing was infuriated. He had managed to invite an expert with great difficulty, but he had angered him away just like that. He had even accepted 100,000 Grade 2 origin stones. This was simply outrageous. Xueqing was not in the mood to continue celebrating his birthday. He brought Kong Ming with him and directly walked out of the divine martial manor. Young master, today's gathering? Another person walked over and said while trembling with fear. He didn't even dare to raise his voice when he saw Xueqing's anger. What gathering? What gathering? Disperse, Xueqing said in a bad mood. His esteemed guest had left because of his anger. So what was the point of gathering? Everyone should just go back to where they came from. Right now, all he wanted to do was to apologize to Jiang Chen and ask for his forgiveness. Everything else had been thrown to the back of his mind. Kong Ming followed behind Xueqing, not even daring to breathe too loudly. He was a captain of the Divine Martial Guards at the 8th Heavenly Layer, yet he was acting like a child who had done something wrong. He was extremely nervous. He knew all too well how he had treated Jiang Chen before. If Jiang Chen was a person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance, then he, Kong Ming, would be done for. The young master would definitely not forgive him. At that time, not only would he lose his position as captain, but it would also be good if he could keep his head. The Martial Pavilion, the Purple Pill Pavilion, where Jiang Chen resided. Jiang Chen sat leisurely on a rattan chair with his legs crossed. His eyes were closed as he hummed a little tune. He looked very uneasy. To the side, De Huang Dog was rather anxious and depressed. He paced back and forth, cursing from time to time. When he thought of the humiliation he had suffered in the divine martial manner, he couldn't help but smash his head against a rock. De Huang, can't you calm down a bit? The decorations here have all been smashed by you. Can't you be a little more careful? Jiang Chen said in a bad mood. Tui, what the hell is the divine martial manner? You should have just let Grandpa Dog fight it out with them. De Huang Dog was extremely furious. When he thought of what had happened in the divine martial manner, he couldn't even sit still. Just you wait. Someone will come and help you vent your anger. Jiang Chen rested his hands on the back of his head. He crossed his legs and continued to rest with his eyes closed. Sure enough, not long after, someone knocked on the door. Who? De Huang Dog shouted angrily. It's me, Xueqi. Is teacher around? Xueqing's voice came from outside the door. It was obvious that his voice was a little weak. Come in, the door isn't locked. Jiang Chen said lightly. Creak. As soon as he finished speaking, the door was pushed open. Xueqi walked in with Kong Ming, who was looking at the road with his head lowered. For God's sake, you two still have the nerve to come here. De Huang Dog didn't have such a good temper. He didn't give a straight face. It's my fault. It's my fault. I didn't do a good job. Xueqi continuously blamed himself as he smiled at De Huang Dog. Then, Xueqi walked in front of Jiang Chen, cupped his fists, and said, Teacher, it's my fault for forgetting to give teacher an invitation. It's also my fault that my subordinates didn't have good eyesight and offended teacher. Here are 200,000 second-grade origin stones. Apart from the 100,000 for you, the other 100,000 is my apology to teacher. Xueqi took out a universe ring and handed it to Jiang Chen. Kong Ming, who was standing to the side, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. Even if Jiang Chen didn't forgive him, just throwing out 100,000 second-grade origin stones for no reason was already his fault. Jiang Chen didn't stand on ceremony. He slowly put away the universe ring. This Xueqi really knew how to handle things. His attitude towards Jiang Chen was extremely respectful, and he even took out 100,000 second-grade origin stones as compensation. Jiang Chen wasn't a petty person. If he continued to be angry, it would seem like he didn't have a magnanimous heart. After all, Xueqi kept calling him teacher. I'm fine, but my brother was humiliated, and he's still angry. Jiang Chen laughed as he pointed at De Huang Dog. When he saw De Huang Dog, Kong Ming almost fainted. He had experienced this dog's temper before. It was simply too difficult to provoke. He originally thought that this dog was just a pet beast that Jiang Chen kept. He never expected that Jiang Chen would actually call him brother. Xueqi chuckled and walked in front of De Huang Dog. Since he was Jiang Chen's brother, his status was naturally different. Xueqi didn't dare to slight him. What are you laughing at? De Huang Dog glared at Xueqi. He didn't have a good temper like Jiang Chen. Kong Ming, hurry up and apologize to brother De Huang. Xueqi scolded Kong Ming. Kong Ming didn't have the arrogant attitude of a team leader anymore. He hurriedly came in front of Big Yellow and bowed. Brother Big Yellow, it's my fault for not recognizing Mount Tai and offending you. Please forgive me. Serve me a cup of tea. De Huang Dog plopped down on a stone stool and demanded arrogantly. Sure. Kong Ming ran away quickly. If serving him a cup of tea could solve the problem, he was more than willing to serve De Huang Dog for 3 days straight. Kong Ming rushed into the room as fast as he could. Moments later, he returned with a cup of steaming hot tea and respectfully served it to De Huang Dog. Brother De Huang, please have some tea. Kong Ming felt depressed in his heart. He probably didn't expect that he would serve tea to a dog in his life. Moreover, he was so polite and didn't dare to be negligent in the slightest. Seeing that you are sincere in admitting your mistake, Master Dog will be magnanimous and forgive you. De Huang Dog was proud of himself. He felt that he had saved his face and was extremely satisfied. He raised his paw and picked up the cup of tea, taking 2 sips in a dignified manner. Although De Huang Dog was hot-tempered, he wasn't a troublemaker. He had to leave some face for Jiang Chen. Moreover, Jiang Chen was the young city lord of the divine martial city. Since Jiang Chen had brought his subordinates to apologize, it would be too much if he didn't give him face. Seeing this, Kong Ming heaved a sigh of relief. This matter was clear. His head was saved. As for his position as a team leader, it would depend on his young master's mood. Kong Ming, you can go back. Xie Ting waved his hand at Kong Ming. Yes, young master. Kong Ming was overjoyed. He cupped his fists at Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog, then turned around and left. His young master only told him to go back. He didn't say anything else. This meant that he didn't have any intention of punishing him. His position as a team leader was saved. To Kong Ming, this result couldn't be better. It was as if he had been reborn. In the courtyard, Xie Ting was too embarrassed to continue inviting Jiang Chen to attend the banquet. Moreover, the banquet had already been dismissed by Xie Ting. Xie Ting, the blocked meridians in your body have been unblocked, right? Jiang Chen looked at Xie Ting and said. Hearing this, Xie Ting immediately became excited. He knew that Jiang Chen was going to give him pointers again. This was something he had been dreaming of. Previously, in the Qingyuan Thunderpool, Jiang Chen's pointers were like divine help. He wanted to get pointers from Jiang Chen for the second time. Chapter 40:13. I've done it. I've done it after Master's guidance, and I've successfully reached the 7th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm. Xie Ting hurriedly said. His words were filled with indescribable joy. Very good. Xie Ting, your talent is not bad. Your future achievements will be far greater than this. The small Crimson East region will not be able to trap you. Jiang Chen said. This was not a compliment. Xie Ting was indeed the most talented person he had seen after coming to the Eternal World. If there was another person, it would be Chen Yiren, who he had fought once before. Thank you for your guidance, Master. Xie Ting was overjoyed. He believed in Jiang Chen's judgment. Since Jiang Chen said that he could do it, it would naturally not be bad. To put it bluntly, Jiang Chen's words had increased Xie Ting's confidence on the path of cultivation by many times. You, Jiang Chen, show me everything you've learned in your life. Jiang Chen said. Okay. Xie Ting was so excited that he almost jumped up. He had been waiting for Jiang Chen to say this. Ever since Jiang Chen had guided him, he had always dreamed of this day. Even though he had extraordinary talent, he had encountered many problems in his cultivation. Whether it was his cultivation method or battle skill, he would always encounter some bottlenecks or problems. There were some problems that even his father, who was at the heavenly origin realm, could not answer. If Jiang Chen could help him solve half of the problems, his cultivation would definitely reach a new height. If he could solve all of the problems, he was confident that he could reach the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm within a month. Without the slightest delay, Xie Ting wasn't afraid of exposing what he had learned in his lifetime. He also believed that what he had learned was nothing in Jiang Chen's eyes. Jiang Chen wouldn't even be interested in it. Hoo-hoo. Inside the courtyard, a strong gust of wind was blowing, and the origin force was rolling. Xie Ting didn't hide anything. He unleashed his martial arts, battle skills, and battle weapons, bit by bit. What happened next truly shocked Xie Ting. This was because after Xie Ting displayed what he had learned, before he could say a word, Jiang Chen had already pointed out all of his shortcomings. Not only that, after Jiang Chen pointed out the shortcomings, he also pointed out to Xie Ting how to make it more perfect. Xie Ting was dumbfounded. At this moment, he was truly enlightened. The shock in his heart was no less than those from the everlasting pavilion. Master is truly a godly person. Xie Ting was completely impressed. He couldn't help but be impressed. He was simply a god. Xie Ting practiced according to Jiang Chen's instructions on the spot. Just like what Jiang Chen had said, Xie Ting was extremely talented. He was 2 levels higher than Fu Qinglai. After practicing according to Jiang Chen's instructions, his cultivation base reached the peak of the 7th heavenly layer in a short amount of time. He was only a step away from the 8th heavenly layer. Such a great improvement made Xie Ting overjoyed. In his opinion, it was like a dream. It was so unreal. In fact, this was normal. The most difficult thing for cultivators was comprehension. Once they comprehended something, their potential would be stimulated. Their conditions would increase, so it was normal for their cultivation base to improve on the spot. Unknowingly, the sky had already darkened. Xueqi had been studying here for almost an entire day. When he retracted his aura, he only felt that his entire body was refreshed and indescribably comfortable. The increase in his cultivation made him appear even more confident and calm. He was too powerful. He had never seen such a terrifying person before. Xueqi gave a deep bow to Jiang Chen. Xueqi will never forget Master's kindness. If it was said that Jiang Chen's guidance in the Qingyuan lightning pool had made Xueqi feel that Jiang Chen was lucky. But now, Xueqi's admiration for Jiang Chen had seeped deep into his bones. He had never admired someone so much in his life. In Xueqi's heart, although Jiang Chen's cultivation base wasn't high, his knowledge was too powerful. It couldn't be described as human. He had seen several heavenly origin experts, but their bearing and knowledge were on a completely different level compared to Jiang Chen. Xueqi had no doubt that even a Star Lord would have to call Jiang Chen master if he stood before him. He was so lucky to be able to learn from someone like Jiang Chen. If he could continue to learn from Jiang Chen in the future, it would be the greatest honor of his life. His future achievements would definitely be limitless. Xueqi's greatest wish in this life was to reach the heavenly origin realm and become a powerful figure like his father. But now, Jiang Chen had made him set his sights even further. He could no longer limit himself to the small Scarlet East region. He even felt that he had the hope of becoming a Star Lord in this life. The way of cultivation still depends on yourself. You must not be arrogant or rash, and you must not be impatient. I can only guide you, but how far you can go still depends on yourself. Jiang Chen said. Xueqi understands. I will not disappoint Master's hopes. Xueqi said respectfully. Okay, you can go now. Jiang Chen waved his hand, indicating that Xueqi could leave. All right, Master, there's one thing. Xueqi suddenly thought of something just as he turned around. What is it? Jiang Chen said. I heard that there was a strange phenomenon in the Chiliang Mountain not long ago. I plan to invite some people to go to the Chiliang Mountain for training in 3 days. I wonder if Master would be interested. Would you like to come along? Xueqi said. Chiliang Mountain? Jiang Chen frowned. This was the first time he had heard of this name. It seems that Master doesn't know about the Chiliang Mountain. The Chiliang Mountain is the largest mountain in the Crimson East region. Demonic beasts roam freely inside, and it is extremely dangerous. However, there are also many treasures inside. Usually, we will go there to train when we have nothing to do. However, it is different this time. Because of the strange phenomenon in the Chiliang Mountain, I heard that many winged men have also gone there. You also know that in the Crimson East region, the human race and the winged men are arch-enemies. Both of us want to destroy the other and dominate the Crimson East region. When the disciples of the Martial Pavilion go out to train, they are also rewarded. If they can kill the winged men and return, the Martial Pavilion will directly reward them. Xueqi said. Jiang Chen's eyes lit up when he heard that. De Huang Dog, who was napping on the stone block, jumped up with a swoosh and his eyes lit up. All right, I'll go with you. Jiang Chen agreed to it almost without any consideration. The Martial Pavilion was too peaceful, and he and De Huang Dog had long been bored to death. Not to mention the strange noise that occurred on the Crimson Ridge Mountain. Just the appearance of the winged man had already piqued Jiang Chen's interest. Chapter 40:14. Great, that's great. Then teacher, let's set off in 3 days and gather outside the Martial Pavilion. Xueqi was overjoyed. He was looking forward to any opportunity to come into contact with Jiang Chen. That way, he would be able to receive Jiang Chen's guidance at any time. In Xueqi's heart, Jiang Chen's guidance was more important than anything else. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Early in the morning, at the foot of the Martial Pavilion mountain, 5 or 6 young men gathered together. Every single one of them was filled with arrogance. They were all young, but their cultivations were extremely powerful. Even the weakest among them was at the 7th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm, and there were only 2 of them at the 7th heavenly layer. 3 of them were at the 8th heavenly layer, and the most powerful one was actually at the 9th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm. He was truly terrifying. However, the leader of the 6 was not a 9th heavenly layer Unity Origin Realm young man, but a handsome, blue-clothed young man at the 8th heavenly layer. The blue-clothed young man was none other than Xueqi. Ever since he had received guidance from Jiangchen 3 days ago, he had broken through again in just 3 days, reaching the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. His talent was truly praiseworthy. With Xueqi's identity and status, he was obviously the leader. Even the 9th heavenly layer Unity Origin realm young man had to follow Xueqi. Let alone the 9th heavenly layer, as long as Xueqi was willing, he could follow a large group of earthly origin realm experts. Senior brother Xie is so powerful. He's actually broken through again. If I remember correctly, it hasn't been that long since senior brother Xie went from the 6th heavenly layer to the 7th heavenly layer, right? Yeah, that's just too ridiculous. He's broken through way too quickly. It's like he's drinking water. This is talent. Senior brother Xie is a true genius. He can't be judged by the standards of ordinary people. How many geniuses like senior brother Xie are there in the entire martial pavilion? Words of flattery could be heard, but Xueqi only smiled faintly. He had heard too much of this kind of flattery. Plus, he knew his own capabilities very well. If it wasn't for Jiangchen's guidance, he would still be stuck at the peak of the 6th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. He wouldn't have been able to unblock the blocked meridians in such a short time because of his impatience. Ah Ting, can we go now? His name was Zhang Qing, and he was also a proud and arrogant person. He wasn't someone who would flatter others, but he had a good relationship with Xueqi. Brother Qing, there's no hurry. I'm still waiting for someone. Xueqi smiled and patted Zhang Qing's shoulder. The relationship between the two was obviously different from others. Who is this? He's so arrogant to actually make Senior Xie wait here. That's right. There hasn't been anyone in the martial pavilion who dares to make Senior Xie wait, right? The 2 disciples at the 7th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm said. Obviously, they were getting impatient. The person I'm waiting for is my teacher. When my teacher arrives, you must be polite to him. Xueqi specially reminded them. Teacher? Senior Xie, we're a group of disciples this time. We won't bring an elder, right? Someone asked. Of course not. He's also a disciple of our martial pavilion. Xueqi smiled. A disciple of the martial pavilion? Everyone looked at each other. What kind of disciple could make Xueqi call him teacher? Was there such a person in the martial pavilion? Not long after, 2 figures flew out from the martial pavilion and quickly arrived at the foot of the mountain, right in front of the crowd. Sorry, I'm late. Jiang Chen said to Xueqi and the others with an indifferent tone. Big Yellow, who stood beside him, was shaking his head with an excited expression. Jiang Chen? Someone called out, recognizing Jiang Chen. This was not strange. When Jiang Chen fought against the 3-eyed panther, he had attracted the attention of many people. At least half of them had seen him before. He's the Jiang Chen who killed the 3-eyed panther? He does look extraordinary, but his cultivation seems to only be at the 3rd heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Even if he can kill the 3-eyed panther, he can't be much stronger than us. That dog is also at the 3rd heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Won't he be a burden if he follows us? He can't be the teacher that Senior Xie mentioned, right? The few of them were shocked, and their words showed that they didn't think highly of Jiang Chen and Big Yellow. Since Jiang Chen was able to defeat the 3-eyed panther, he was barely qualified to join their group, but Big Yellow was just too weak, and they didn't want to bring a burden with them. Of course, they could not tell that Jiang Chen had already reached the peak of the 4th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. He was only a step away from the 5th heavenly layer. As long as Jiang Chen did not reveal his aura, very few people could see through him. You're not late. I'm very happy that teacher can come. Let's go. Xueqi smiled. His attitude towards Jiang Chen could not be any more respectful. Everyone was dumbfounded. They thought they had heard wrong. What did Senior Xie call him? I think he's teacher. The teacher that Senior Xie is waiting for is actually him. Why? Why should he be Senior Xie's teacher? That's a little too ridiculous. Who would have thought that the teacher that Xueqi mentioned was actually Jiang Chen? This scene was simply unbelievable. Even Zhang Qing was stunned. Based on his understanding of Xueqi, he seemed to only be so respectful towards the sect master of the martial pavilion and his own father. Admittedly, Jiang Chen was talented. He had killed the 6th heavenly layer 3-eyed panther with a cultivation of the 3rd heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. It was indeed shocking. There was no one else in the entire martial pavilion who could achieve such a feat, however. Jiang Chen was only at the third heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. How could he make Xueqi call him teacher? Xueqi was an expert at the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Before him, Jiang Chen was nothing. Let me introduce you. This is Jiang Chen, my teacher. The reason why my cultivation has improved so quickly is because of teacher's guidance. This time, teacher will be coming with us to the Chiliang mountain. If you can receive some guidance from teacher, you will definitely benefit greatly. Xueqi introduced solemnly. What? Everyone cried out in surprise. They all looked at Jiang Chen with strange gazes. However, it could be seen that even though Xueqi had said so, none of them believed him. What a joke. A mere third heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm was giving them guidance. Wasn't this just lowering their status? Xueqi shook his head helplessly. He could naturally tell what they were thinking, but he did not force them. After all, even if they begged Jiang Chen for guidance, Jiang Chen might not necessarily be willing. Since they were going to be together for a period of time in the future, they might as well get to know each other slowly. He believed that it wouldn't take long for them to witness Jiang Chen's strength and frightening strength. At that time, they would have to respectfully call him teacher just like he did. Chapter 40:15. Xueqi whistled. A black dot rapidly enlarged in the distance, arriving before the group in the blink of an eye. It was a black hawk that was as black as ink. It was huge, 6 meters in length. Screech! The black hawk let out a sharp cry. Waves of air surged around it. A flying demonic beast at the 7th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm was completely obedient to Xueqi. How mighty! It would be great if I could have a flying demonic beast. Some people sighed, but they also knew that with their status, wanting to obtain a flying demonic beast was really too difficult. Not to mention their own strength. Just wanting to tame a wild and unruly black eagle was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Xueqi was different. He had too many resources. There was nothing in the entire Crimson East region that he could not obtain. It was said that this black hawk was a gift from his father when he came to the martial pavilion to cultivate. How could he compete with them? If he really wanted to compete with them, he would not be able to live anymore. Comparing with others would only make one angry. Master, the mountain path to the Crimson Mountain is quite far. Let the black hawk take us there. Xueqi said. All right. Jiang Chen nodded, indicating that he had no objections. Let's go. Xueqi waved his hand. The group leapt onto the back of the black hawk. The black hawk flapped its wings and turned into a streak of black light, disappearing into the sky in an instant. The speed of the black eagle was extremely fast, like the wind and lightning. The feeling of roaming freely in the sky fascinated them, and even fascinated them. It's so awesome. I must reach the earthly source realm as soon as possible. Once I reach the earthly source realm, I will be able to control the chi of the world and fly. At that time, I won't need to rely on flying demonic beasts. Just thinking about it is amazing. Someone said. Yeah, I must reach the earthly source realm. Only by reaching the earthly source realm can I be considered a true cultivator. My biggest dream in this life is to be able to soar in the sky with my own strength. The other person also sighed endlessly. Jiang Chen and a Huang dog did not say anything. They understood the dreams and thoughts of these people, because they had also experienced that period of time. That kind of desire, that kind of fascination, was unimaginable to ordinary people. The journey was silent. Jiang Chen closed his eyes and rested. Xueqi did not disturb him, and the others did not take the initiative to talk to Jiang Chen. They still did not believe that Jiang Chen's ability was as magical as Xueqi said. A day later, the black eagle soared through the sky and arrived at a wilderness. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was the wilderness. There was no sign of human habitation within a radius of 1,000 miles. There was not even a single demonic beast. Everyone, stay alert. Once we pass through this wilderness, we will reach the vicinity of the Red Ridge Mountain. This place is a mix of crooks and honest folk, and the winged men often appear here. Everyone, prepare your flying talismans. If you encounter the winged men, fight immediately. Xueqi reminded. All right. Zhang Qing and the others did not dare to be negligent. They knew that this was not a joke. Once they left the martial pavilion, they would not be able to enjoy such a peaceful life. Especially here, their lives could be in danger at any time. The duel with the winged person was not like the duel on the martial pavilion's battle platform. There was no such thing as stopping at the right time. In the Red East region, the human race and the winged race were irreconcilable enemies. As long as they encountered each other, it would be a fight to the death. Xueqi flipped his palm, and 2 light yellow talismans appeared in his hands. On the talismans, the airflow swayed, giving off a very high-end feeling. Xueqi handed the 2 talismans to Zhang Chen and De Huang Dog respectively. He said, "Master, Brother De Huang, these are flying talismans. They are specially developed by the Martial Pavilion to deal with the winged men. They are meant for Unity Origin Realm disciples to go out for training. If we encounter the winged men later, we can rely on the flying talismans to fight them. However, the flying talismans can only last for a short period of time. If we encounter the winged men, we have to end the battle quickly." The winged race had the greatest advantage over ordinary human cultivators, which was flying. The winged men had wings and could fly in the sky from birth. Humans, on the other hand, could only truly fly after reaching the Unity Origin Realm. Therefore, in the course of a battle, the human race had no advantage over the winged race. The Martial Pavilion specially created flying talismans to deal with this situation. Although the flying talismans could only maintain flight for a short period of time, it was still a powerful weapon against the winged men. Without the flying talismans, one could only passively take a beating. When the others saw Xueqi take out 2 flying talismans and give them to Zhang Chen, their eyes were filled with envy. One had to know that the flying talismans were incomparably precious. Even in the Martial Pavilion, not everyone could have them. If they wanted to get a flying talisman, they would have to spend money to buy it. In any case, they would definitely have to pay a certain price. 2 flying talismans could be described as priceless, especially for Unity Origin Realm disciples who could not fly. They had made ample preparations for this trip to the Red Ridge Mountain. Even so, each of them only had 3 flying talismans. "I don't need them. You can keep them." Unexpectedly, Zhang Chen directly rejected them and pushed the 2 flying talismans back. Everyone, including Xueqi, was stunned. It was the first time they had seen a Unity Origin Realm cultivator reject a flying talisman on a training trip. Was there something wrong with his head? "Zhang Chen, don't tell me you don't know the value of a flying talisman. It can save your life at crucial moments." Zhang Qing could not help but say. Zhang Chen only smiled and did not say anything. He really did not need it. "All right then. Master, when you need it, you can ask me for it," Xueqi quickly said. He guessed that Zhang Chen must have his own reasons for not needing his flying talismans. Perhaps he had more flying talismans than him, or perhaps he had some other tricks up his sleeves. In any case, no matter what kind of surprise Zhang Chen had, Xueqi would believe it. Whoosh whoosh. A cold wind whistled, and a dozen powerful auras suddenly appeared from another direction. With their eyesight, they could already see a dozen black dots in that direction. The black dots gradually enlarged, and soon, they were reflected in everyone's eyes. "It's the winged men." Zhang Qing frowned, and battle intent immediately burst forth from his body. "Damn. It seems like we're really unlucky. This group of winged people is so powerful. Just like us, the weakest among them is at the 7th layer of the Unity Origin Realm. They have more people than us. Fortunately, there are no experts at the 9th layer of the Unity Origin Realm. We should be able to handle them. Prepare the flying talismans. We've been discovered, and the winged people are approaching us." The atmosphere immediately became tense. They couldn't help but feel nervous after encountering such a powerful group of winged people. Chapter 40:16. Xueqi and the others were unlucky. They had encountered the winged men before they even reached the Crimson Ridge Mountain. Moreover, it was a large group of winged men. Everyone took out their combat strength talismans and were fully prepared for battle. Everyone looked extremely serious. Dealing with the winged men was completely different from their usual playful ways. This was a battle of life and death. It was a battle of life and death. It could even be a battle of life and death. As expected, when Xueqi and the others discovered the winged men also discovered them. A dozen winged men turned into streaks of light and flew over. In the blink of an eye, they blocked the Black Hawk's path. Screech! The Black Hawk screeched. Its eyes became extremely sharp and its tyrannical aura became heavier. There from the Martial Pavilion. The leader of the winged men had a dignified appearance. He had 4 wings on his back and was at the peak of the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm. He was only a step away from the 9th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Furthermore, the bloodline of the four-winged men was relatively noble. According to Jiang Chen's estimation, if they really fought, the winged man's speed would not be any weaker than Zhang Qing's. Although Zhang Qing was at the 9th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm and had a flight talisman, it could only allow him to fly. In terms of speed, he was not on the same level as the young winged man. Apart from the young winged man, the other winged men were twice the number and cultivation of the winged men. Jiang Chen shook his head helplessly. This battle would probably be extremely difficult. It seemed that he would not be able to hold back. Enemies are bound to meet, Xie Ting Lung Lung said. An extremely dazzling sword had already appeared in her hand. It sparkled with a cold light. Enemies are bound to meet. The winged men and the human race are irreconcilable. The martial pavilion is the greatest threat to the winged men. Since we've met here today, all of you will stay here, the young winged man said. The smile on his face was even colder than Xie Ting's. It was not difficult to determine the identity of the disciples of the martial pavilion. The winged men and the martial pavilion had many dealings. Moreover, there were so many geniuses of the human race this time. There was probably no other force apart from the martial pavilion. Let's see if you have the ability. Xie Ting's killing intent surged. Although the other party was strong, it was impossible to retreat at this time. Moreover, the winged people were famous for their speed. Even if they wanted to escape, they wouldn't be able to. Although the Black Eagle was fast, it was carrying 7 or 8 people. How could it be faster than these winged people? When the fight starts, take care of yourself, one of them said with a mace in his hand. These words were probably meant for Jiang Chen and a Huang dog. After all, in their hearts, Jiang Chen and a Huang dog's cultivation base were still a burden. Teacher, I'll leave Black Hawk to you. He can take you away, Xie Ting said. He had not expected to encounter such a situation on this trip to the Crimson Ridge Mountain. Before coming here, they were filled with fighting spirit, but who would have thought that they would encounter so many feather people? Moreover, they were so powerful. In this situation, even if they gave it their all, it would be incredibly difficult for them to resist. If they were not careful, many people would die. No need, Black Hawk will still follow you. After saying that, Jiang Chen's aura suddenly shook, and a pair of dragon wings spread out. His whole body had already soared into the sky, hovering above the feather people. On the other side, De Huang Dog also had a pair of wings on his back. He was flying back and forth in the sky at an unbelievable speed. Every time he moved, he would turn into a streak of light. The onlookers were dumbfounded. He can actually fly. What a mystical pair of wings. And that dog, he can actually fly as well. No wonder he didn't want senior brother Xie's flying talisman. So he has such a trump card. This Jiang Chen is really powerful. Xie Ting and the others were shocked. They naturally knew how powerful Jiang Chen was. Since he could kill a 3-eyed panther, he was definitely not someone easy to deal with. However, they had never thought that Jiang Chen could actually fly. That pair of dragon wings looked much more mystical than the wings of the feather people. As for De Huang Dog, although his current strength was not enough, he was not afraid at all. This guy's speed was unparalleled in the world. When he spread his light wings, no Unity Origin expert could catch up to him. You have the 9th young master's aura on you. The young feather person glanced at Jiang Chen with a shocked expression. 9th young master? Jiang Chen frowned, then suddenly remembered. That's right. Your 9th young master was killed by me. The feather people in the broken flying stream were also killed by me. Facing the feather people, Jiang Chen did not dare to deny it. Back then, when he resolved the crisis of the Fu clan in Yen City, he came to the martial pavilion with Fu Qing. When he just left Yen City, he was attacked by the feather people. One of the men that he killed claimed to be the 9th young master of the feather race. Jiang Chen had almost forgotten about this. Now that the person in front of him mentioned it, Jiang Chen finally recalled it. What? He killed the 9th young master and the feather people in the broken flying stream. He is Jiang Chen. Great. You've searched far and wide for it, only to find it by chance. Jiang Chen, today is the day you die. Your hands are filled with the blood of our winged men. Today you shall pay with your blood. Jiang Chen roared. The clan has already given the order to kill Jiang Chen. The death of the 9th young master has shaken the entire feather race. If we can kill Jiang Chen today, we will be the meritorious subjects of the feather race. We will be rewarded handsomely. Great. This trip was not in vain. The feather people were all excited. They had never thought that they would meet Jiang Chen the first time they came out. He was on the feather people's kill list. If they could kill Jiang Chen, they would be rewarded handsomely. When Xueqi and the others heard the words of the feather people, they were all shocked. I have heard about the broken flying stream. I heard that someone killed all the feather people in the broken flying stream and brought many people out. I didn't expect it to be Jiang Chen. Yes, I heard about it too. But I didn't hear his name. He is a great hero of the human race. He killed the 9th young master of the feather people. He is so awesome. I really admire him. We always talk about killing the feather people, but we don't know that Jiang Chen has already killed so many of them. He has already become the person on the feather people's kill list. Xueqi and the others were shocked. Some of them started to admire Jiang Chen. The fact that he was able to walk out of the broken flying stream was enough to show that Jiang Chen was not an ordinary person. Moreover, he had killed the 9th young master of the feather people. What a glorious achievement! You want to kill me? Let's see if you have the ability. The corner of Jiang Chen's mouth revealed a faint smile. The heavenly dragon's sword instantly appeared in his hand. His body flashed and his speed was so fast that no one could see him clearly. The heavenly dragon's sword struck out and a scream was heard. Chapter 40:17. Holy shit! The disciples of the martial pavilion were all stunned. Only the word holy shit could describe their shock. Especially those who looked down on Jiang Chen and treated Jiang Chen and a Huang dog as burdens. They were utterly ashamed now. Jiang Chen's cultivation was no longer at the 3rd heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm when he fought against the Three-Eyed Panther. He had reached the peak of the 4th heavenly layer now. Just the fact that Jiang Chen had easily killed a 7th heavenly layer winged person with a single strike was enough to make them feel inferior. Even a human expert at the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm would not be so confident in killing a 7th heavenly layer winged person so easily. So Master's cultivation has reached the peak of the 4th heavenly layer. That's great. He'll be a great help to us. Xueqing's face was filled with excitement. Jiang Chen's strength had boosted his confidence. The wingmen on the opposite side were stunned. They had never thought that Jiang Chen would be so ferocious. He didn't even give them any warning before attacking. His attack was so swift and violent that they didn't even have the chance to react to it. Fast, it was just too fast. Arg! By the time the winged man reacted, another blood-curdling scream was heard. As expected, another 7th heavenly layer Unity Origin winged man was slashed by Jiang Chen's sword and died on the spot. His body was cut in half and fell from the sky. Kill him. The rest of the winged men finally regained their senses. Each and every one of them roared with rage. They took out their combat weapons and lunged at Jiang Chen. Infuriated. Truly infuriated. They originally had such a great advantage, but they had already lost 2 people at the beginning. Such a loss could not be said to be insignificant. More importantly, this was a serious blow to the high morale of the winged people. Brothers, kill him. We can't let Master fight alone. Xueqi roared. He stepped on a black shadow and swung his sword, charging at the winged people. Zhang Qing and the others did not hesitate either. They all used their flight talismans and charged at the enemy with a surge of qi. At this time, they had to unite against a common enemy. If one were to say that their morale was low at the beginning and they even felt a little hopeless, then this depression had completely disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by excitement, fighting spirit, and passion. Jiang Chen had killed 2 enemies with his sword, greatly increasing their morale. Jiang Chen and the others' passion and hot-bloodedness had been ignited. Jiang Chen, hand over your life. The leading young winged man locked onto Jiang Chen. Waves of energy surged around his body as he charged towards Jiang Chen. Your opponent is me. With a shout, Zhang Qing acted decisively and blocked the young winged man. With his advantage as a Unity Origin expert, blocking the young winged man was nothing difficult. So what if you're at the 9th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm? You have no advantage against me in the sky. The young winged man did not care about Zhang Qing at all. The wings on his back flapped and the battle weapon in his hand danced around, constantly attacking from different directions. For a moment, Zhang Qing was forced into a panic. On the other side, a chaotic battle had begun. Xueqi and the others were fighting against the winged men. However, The winged men's advantage was too obvious in this kind of battle. Not to mention their advantage in numbers, just their speed and control in the sky was something that Xueqi and the others could not compare to. Xueqi was in a slightly better situation. He had the Black Shadow's help, so their coordination was relatively good. On the other hand, the others who relied on flight talismans were much more clumsy. They lacked the experience of fighting in the sky, so they could not use many powerful moves. Furthermore, they could not use the talismans as they wished. Therefore, a single person had to face the pincer attack of two winged men. Some of them were injured as soon as they came up. Sword-light venomous dragon drill. Xueqi was extremely ferocious. With a cultivation of the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm, he was invincible. He did not lose the upper hand even when fighting against two winged men at the same time. With a sharp sword-light venomous dragon drill, he heavily injured one of the winged men, almost cutting off one of his wings. The young city lord of the divine martial city was not a spoiled young master. He was someone with true strength, a true genius. Zhang Chen observed the entire situation. Zhang Qing was fighting against the young winged man leader by himself. Xueqi was extremely ferocious, and the others were a little weaker. In this kind of battle, there was no need for him to reveal his true trump card. Zhang Chen was confident that he could get out of this predicament without resorting to his draconification. Zhang Chen's current cultivation was at the peak of the 4th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. He was only a step away from the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. With Zhang Chen's current combat strength, he could kill an ordinary 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm if he used the limitless sword with all his strength and other powerful techniques. Zhang Chen died. With a loud roar, an 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm charged at Zhang Chen fiercely. He seemed to be extremely fast, but in Zhang Chen's eyes, he was not worth mentioning at all. His speed was not on the same level as Zhang Chen's. Little Chenzi, kill him! De Huang dog cheered from the side. This dog ran around in the void, jumping up and down, as if he was watching a show. The winged men did not have the time to deal with De Huang dog. As long as they killed the disciples of the martial pavilion, that dog would be easily killed. 26 swords. Facing the attack of the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm, Zhang Chen did not dodge. He used the 26 swords, and the sword chi directly formed a tornado, sweeping the winged man in. The sword chi was too powerful. The 26 swords was infinitely close to the limitless sword, the highest realm of sword techniques. Once this sword was used, the opponent could not even see the sword chi. Fast, it was really too fast. He could not see the sword, nor could he see the person. Everything disappeared in front of him. Then, boundless fear rose from the bottom of his heart. Not good. The winged man thought not good. But it was too late. A cold sword had already pierced through his chest from behind. That sword was simply a legend. The winged man could not see how Zhang Chen used it at all. Watch the exciting stories of the dragon-marked war god. He did not die in vain. Zhang Chen's unity of man and sword, combined with the 26 swords, and with the help of the karmic fire of the Red Lotus, his lethality kept stacking. An ordinary 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm would not be able to withstand it. In the past, Zhang Chen could kill enemies 3 levels higher without using the dragon transformation. After comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth and becoming the master of a world, Zhang Chen could kill enemies 4 levels higher without any problems. If he used the dragon transformation, he could even kill experts 5 levels higher. Chapter 40:18. What? This scene was witnessed by everyone on the scene. Whether it was the people of the martial pavilion or the people of the feather race, all of them widened their eyes in shock. Each and every one of them looked at Zhang Chen as if they were looking at a ghost. Teacher's talent is simply unheard of. Even in the entire eternal world, it would be difficult to find a second person like him. Xueqi sighed. His admiration for Zhang Chen had risen to another level. He, Xueqi, claimed to be a genius, and very few people in the martial pavilion could be compared to him. However, compared to Zhang Chen, he instantly felt how insignificant he was. If Zhang Chen said that he was a genius, then who else would call themselves geniuses? If Xueqi called himself a genius, then Zhang Chen would be a monster among monsters. How impressive! Zhang Qing's expression was very interesting. He had seen impressive people before, but he had never seen someone so impressive. The others were also indescribably excited. They had seen how powerful Zhang Chen was. At this moment, they no longer had any fear or timidity in their hearts when facing the feather race. It was as if everything could be easily dealt with as long as Jiang Chen was present. Split up and surround Jiang Chen. The leading young feather race yelled. This Jiang Chen was far more terrifying than they had imagined. If they could not gather all their strength to kill Jiang Chen, it was very likely that they, the feather race, would be killed by Jiang Chen one by one. After all, apart from the leading young feather race, no one else was Jiang Chen's opponent. The young feather race was entangled with Zhang Qing and could not get away at all. Putting aside Zhang Qing, who was at the 9th heavenly layer of the origin realm, there was also Xueqi, who was riding a black hawk. He was also very powerful. The feather race at the same level was not his opponent at all. What had been a great advantage was instantly thrown into disarray because of Jiang Chen, and it looked like the tables were about to be turned. Voila! As soon as the young winged man finished speaking, the winged men rushed forward. 5 winged men completely surrounded Jiang Chen. In this way, the disciples of the martial pavilion were able to relax a lot. Originally, they were fighting 2 enemies at the same time. Now that most of the enemy's firepower was attracted by Jiang Chen, the pressure on their bodies had been lifted. Although they did not have much of an advantage against the winged people, it was wishful thinking for the winged people to kill them easily by relying on the flight talisman. Now, it all depended on Jiang Chen and Zhang Qing. Or rather, it depended on Jiang Chen. Zhang Qing was only there to keep the young winged person busy. It would be extremely difficult to kill him. Out of all of them, Jiang Chen was the one with the most destructive power. However, Jiang Chen was currently being besieged by 4 or 5 Unity Origin Realm wingmen. The situation didn't seem to be that great. 5 8th level Unity Origin experts. Even Zhang Qing would find it difficult to fend them off, let alone Jiang Chen, who is only a 4th level Unity Origin expert. Set up the formation and kill him together. One of the winged people yelled. In the next moment, the wings on the backs of the 5 winged men spread out. Their beautiful wings formed a giant net that connected with each other, trapping Jiang Chen within. The connection of these wings was fused with a mysterious formation, causing their combat power to interweave. In just a moment, their aura skyrocketed, and they could erupt with the combat power of the 9th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm. You want to use a formation in front of me? A smile appeared on Jiang Chen's face. If these people did not use a formation, perhaps he would be a little afraid. After all, it was 5 Unity Origin Realm experts working together. Once they worked well together, it would be extremely difficult for him to kill them one by one. However, these winged people were impatient. They wanted to use a formation to trap Jiang Chen, and then use the powerful combat power of the formation to kill Jiang Chen. Their idea was right, and there was nothing wrong with the formation. If it was anyone else, they would be dead for sure. Unfortunately, they were unlucky to have encountered Jiang Chen, an old ancestor of formations. The formation of the winged people was mysterious, but it was transparent in Jiang Chen's eyes. He could break it with a flick of his finger. Once their formation was broken, the winged people would suffer the backlash of the formation, which would greatly affect their combat power. Once their combat power was weakened, Jiang Chen could kill them like slaughtering chickens or dogs. Death Thunder Lotus. Jiang Chen shouted. An incomparably brilliant thunder lotus floated in the air. It was the Death Thunder Lotus that was condensed by 5 types of divine lightning. It was also one of Jiang Chen's trump cards. Its lethality was not any weaker than the 26th sword. Compared to Sword 26, the destructive range of the Death Thunder Lotus was wider. Just like at this moment, when the Death Thunder Lotus appeared, it directly turned into the face of Yama, which was hideous and terrifying. Jiang Chen had added a restriction to break the formation in the Death Thunder Lotus. Once it was used, the formation of the winged people would be broken instantly, and the Death Thunder Lotus would cause unimaginable damage to them. What's that? The 5 winged people's faces changed dramatically. They could feel the extremely terrifying aura from the Death Thunder Lotus above their heads. Rumble. Without giving them a chance to react, the Death Thunder Lotus instantly exploded, and a huge roar sounded. For a moment, the entire sky was covered by lightning. The sky turned dark, as if it was the end of the world. Retreat! Not far away, the people who were fighting fiercely felt the aura of death. Their faces changed drastically, and they couldn't help but retreat in other directions. Miserable cries began to ring out. The 5 winged people fell into the colorful sea of lightning, suffering inhumane torture. Their array formation was instantly broken by the power of thunder and lightning, and all 5 of them suffered the backlash of the array formation. The lethality of the Death Thunder Lotus took advantage of the moment when they were suffering from the backlash, and killed them without the slightest ability to fight back. The 5 winged people were not so weak. After all, they were all experts of the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Their battle prowess was great, and even the Death Thunder Lotus struggled to deal fatal damage to them when they worked together. Unfortunately, they should not have used formations, especially formations used in battle. They were different from regular formations. Once a formation was broken in battle, the person using the formation would suffer a backlash, and their battle prowess would be reduced. In that instant, the 5 winged people were all turned into charred corpses, falling from the sky. When the power of lightning disappeared, Jiang Chen was like a god of war, standing in the sky. His forehead flickered with boundless dominance, as if he was the only one in the world. At that moment, the chaotic battlefield became extremely quiet. There was only the whistling of the cold wind in the sky. Jiang Chen had become the focus, the only one. Everyone was as quiet as cicadas in winter. They were still submerged in the terror of the sea of lightning from before. Jiang Chen was like a god of lightning. He was just too terrifying. Chapter 40:19. He's just too impressive. I looked down on him in the beginning. I even thought he was a burden. I didn't even speak to him along the way. I really deserve to die. We're his burdens. Without him, we probably wouldn't even have survived this battle. The disciples of the martial pavilion all felt their mouths go dry, especially those who had previously thought that Jiang Chen was a burden. They were utterly ashamed. They had already begun to believe that Xueqi's rapid progress in cultivation was truly due to Jiang Chen's guidance. They finally understood why Xueqi had addressed Jiang Chen as his teacher so respectfully. They wanted to slap themselves even more. They had not taken the opportunity to ask for Jiang Chen's guidance along the way. They secretly cursed themselves for not taking the initiative to befriend Jiang Chen. Why did they have to put on such an arrogant front? They did not know that their arrogance was no different from an idiot in Jiang Chen's eyes. The remaining winged people all panicked, including the young leader. They had wanted to kill Jiang Chen and return for the reward, but they had never thought that Jiang Chen would be so powerful. He was not someone they could deal with at all. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Chen had eliminated more than half of the winged men. There were only 6 winged men left. Each of them had an ugly expression on their faces. They were scared out of their wits and didn't dare to stand too close to Jiang Chen. What do we do now? A winged person asked, looking at the young leader. Let's go. The young leader gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with hatred and fury, but there was nothing he could do. The current situation was already very clear. They could not continue fighting. If they continued, it was very likely that they would all be wiped out. Even they would die here. After all, other than the terrifying Jiang Chen, there was still Zhang Qing, who was at the 9th heavenly layer of the martial pavilion. If we just leave like this, we won't be able to accept it. Someone said. So what if we don't accept it? Where there's life, there's hope. Once we reach the Chilling Mountain, we'll take revenge when our people arrive, the young winged person also said unwillingly. The young winged man also said reluctantly. He was indeed unwilling to accept such a huge loss, but he could only endure it. There was no point in staying here any longer. Jiang Chen, I will definitely take revenge for what happened today in the future. The young leader Lung Lung said. In the future? Do you think you have a future? Or should I say, are you naive enough to think that you can leave this place alive? Jiang Chen said indifferently as he fiddled with the sword in his hand. His words were filled with great confidence. Whenever Jiang Chen encountered a feather person, he would kill them without hesitation. He would not give them the slightest chance. The matter of Duan Filiu and 9th Young Master had already spread throughout the Feather People. The Feather People were determined to kill him. Naturally, Jiang Chen would not hold back. Haha, this is really funny. Jiang Chen, I admit that you're powerful, but do you think it's realistic for you to kill me by yourself? If I want to leave, I'm afraid you won't be able to stop me. As for the other people from the Martial Pavilion, I don't care about them at all. If we, the winged ones, want to leave, they won't even be able to see our shadows with their flight talismans. The young feather person burst out laughing as if he had just heard a funny joke. His words made Zhang Qing and the others angry and helpless. Although the young feather person's words were arrogant, there was nothing wrong with them. They were only relying on the flight talismans to compete with the feather people in the sky. They were not on the same level at all. If the feather person wanted to leave, they could only watch helplessly. This was also the reason why the young feather person was not afraid after witnessing how terrifying Jiang Chen was. It was because they had the ability to escape. Is that so? Why don't you give it a try and see if you can really escape? A smile appeared on Jiang Chen's face. The confidence in his words shocked the feather people on the other side. Jiang Chen looked too confident, as if he had already defeated them. When they thought about how terrifying Jiang Chen was, they could not help but feel nervous. Let's go. The young feather person did not want to waste any more time. He spread his wings and flew into the sky with the other feather people. Unfortunately, as soon as they flew out, they were blocked by a layer of invisible resistance. There was a faint barrier in the void. This barrier looked very weak, but it was truly stopping them from moving forward. Wakaka, Master Dog, is an existence that cannot be ignored. De Huang Dog, who no one had been paying attention to, suddenly burst into laughter. At this time, the feather people finally focused their attention on De Huang Dog. Not only them, even Xueqi and the others were stunned. It's a formation? That dog has set up a formation here to trap these feather people. Damn it, even this dog is not simple. We really underestimated them before. When did this dog lay down the array? Even we didn't notice it at all. Moreover, this formation seems to be very powerful. It's soundless and undetectable. Zhang Qing and the others were shocked. The way they looked at De Huang Dog also changed. Although this dog's cultivation was weak, he was really useful at crucial times. For example, if it were not for De Huang Dog's formation blocking the feather people, they would not be able to stop them if they wanted to leave. Damn dog, when did you set up a formation? The young feather person's expression changed. He had never thought that the inconspicuous De Huang Dog would become their greatest obstacle in the end. What was more terrifying was that the dog's cultivation was clearly only at the third heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. He had not even reached the fourth heavenly layer, but the formation he had set up was extremely profound. With his strength, he could only break the formation with brute force. However, if he wanted to break the formation with brute force, it would probably take some time. Although it was not a long time, Jiang Chen and the others would not give them the chance. I've said it before. You won't have a future. Jiang Chen said indifferently while pointing his sword at the young feather person. What should we do? We're trapped. This Jiang Chen is so terrifying. There's no other way. We can only fight. Let's fight. It's not easy to kill us. The feather people were ready to fight with their lives. Now that their path of retreat had been cut off, they had nowhere to retreat. The only thing they could do was to fight Jiang Chen and the others with their lives. Brothers, kill them. Don't leave a single one alive. Xueqi yelled. His black hair fluttered in the wind. He was extremely excited. The others yelled as well, including Zhang Qing. They were excited like never before. They felt like their blood had been ignited, and the trigger for their blood was Jiang Chen. It was the first time they had experienced the joy of fighting with Jiang Chen. That kind of passion and that kind of soul-stirring feeling. In short, it was awesome. Chapter 40-20. With the flight talisman on their bodies, Zhang Qing and the others pushed their combat strength to the extreme. Xueqi was the first to rush into the enemy's camp on his black eagle. Although the winged people were ready to fight to the death, their morale had already fallen. Furthermore, with the support of the formation, they did not want to continue fighting at all. As a result, the morale of the winged people declined. The result was obvious. Even if Jiang Chen did not attack, the winged people were no match for the ferocious Xueqi and the others. Die! Xueqi roared. He waved his sword and ruthlessly cut off the wings of a winged person in an extremely tricky manner. Once the winged people lost their winged people, it was equivalent to losing their support. Moreover, these winged people didn't have flight talismans. After losing their wings, they didn't even have the ability to fly, let alone maintain their fighting strength. Xueqi changed the momentum of his sword again and cut off the head of the winged person. Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog stood not far away, calmly watching the intense battle in front of them. These bird people are done for. They have no morale at all. De Huang Dog said proudly. Although he did not attack, his contribution was indispensable. If it were not for his formation, at least half of the winged people would have escaped. There is only one ending for the winged people who offend me, Jiang Chen said coldly. He put away his sword and did not plan to continue attacking. Given the situation in front of him, there was no need for him to attack anymore. It was also a good opportunity for the disciples of the martial pavilion. To put it bluntly, the disciples of the martial pavilion were usually pampered and did not have much experience in actual combat, especially in life and death battles. For them, this was a rare opportunity to improve themselves. Getting rid of these winged people would not only improve their combat ability, but it would also increase their self-confidence. This was very important. Although Jiang Chen had not been in the Red East region for long, he had already understood the situation in the Red East region very well. The human race and the winged people were irreconcilable enemies. Sooner or later, there would be a life and death battle. The martial pavilion was the leader of the human race, but the disciples of the martial pavilion were really too weak. They had to constantly experience life and death situations in order to be able to protect themselves in the future battles of life and death. It would have been fine if Jiang Chen had not come. However, since he had come to the Crimson East region, since he was a member of the human race, and since he had joined the martial pavilion and become a disciple of the martial pavilion, he had the duty and responsibility to fight against the Yu clan. Jiang Chen hoped that there would be no harpies left in the Scarlet East region by the time he left. Furthermore, even without their relationship with the human race, Jiang Chen and the feather race would not rest until one of them was dead. This enmity had been established ever since they had first entered the eternal world and entered the broken flight stream. Ah! Mournful screams rang out incessantly. Xueqi was too ferocious. He was able to fully utilize what Jiang Chen had given him. The sword in his hand had turned into a lethal weapon, and with the help of the Black Eagle, he was able to move freely and smoothly. With the help of the disciples of the martial pavilion, 5 winged men had died tragically in just a few minutes. Now, only a young winged man was left, struggling under Zhang Qing's strong pressure. Surrender now! Xueqi's aura was like a rainbow as he shouted at the winged youth. This battle had allowed Xueqi to truly find himself. He had completely abandoned his young city lord character and turned into a true warrior. All of this was due to Jiang Chen's influence. He had taken Jiang Chen as his idol, and he wanted to become a god of war like Jiang Chen. Let's attack together and kill him. Zhang Qing's voice was stern, and he was also furious. The disciples of the martial pavilion attacked together. No matter how talented the young winged man was, he was only at the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Coupled with his chaotic emotions, it was difficult for him to resist Xueqi alone, let alone the 6 of them working together. All of you move aside. I'll fight him. Xueqi suddenly shouted and stood in front of Zhang Qing and the others. Ah Ting, don't be reckless. Zhang Qing frowned. Senior brother Xie, although this guy is injured, we can't underestimate him. Someone said. Don't worry. Xueqi raised his hand, gesturing for them not to say anything more. All right, be careful. Zhang Qing knew Xueqi's character. It was difficult for him to change his mind. The others retreated, leaving the battlefield to Xueqi, and the young winged man Jiang Chen, who was not far away, nodded. This Xueqi was quite courageous, and Jiang Chen couldn't help but look at him in a new light. One should know that a rich young master like Xueqi, who had a powerful backer, lived a comfortable life. It was not easy for him to be so courageous. In the void, under the formation, Xueqi and the young winged man stood opposite each other with murderous intent. Who are you? The young winged man asked. Xueqi. Xueqi gave his name. The young city lord of the divine martial city? The young winged man was shocked. Obviously, he had heard of Xueqi before. In fact, there were only a few people in the feather race who didn't know about Xueqi. After all, the divine martial city lord was too famous. He was almost on the same level as the feather race's patriarch. The feather race was a strong enemy of the human race, so they naturally wanted to know all the key figures of the human race. Xueqi might not be a big deal in the eyes of the feather race's higher-ups, but among the young geniuses of the feather race, he was the real deal. To put it bluntly, if someone from the feather race could kill Xueqi, they would definitely become famous in the feather race. That's right, it's me. My head should be worth a lot of money in the feather race. Xueqi smiled. Humph. Xueqi, if you want to kill me, then kill me. I can't escape today anyway, so why bother humiliating me? I won't fight you. Come at me together, don't waste my time. The young winged man harumphed. Obviously, he felt that Xueqing's suggestion to fight him alone was a humiliation. Even if he defeated Xueqing, he still wouldn't be able to escape, and he wouldn't be able to change his death today. Fight me, as long as you defeat me, I'll let you leave in one piece, Xueqing said. Are you serious? The young winged man was delighted. His eyes began to emit a light of hope. Of course, I, Xueqing, am a man of my word. As long as you can defeat me, I'll let you leave if you win, but if you lose, I'll chop off your head. Xueqing was incomparably domineering. The aura of the young city lord was unmistakable. This kid is interesting, De Huang Dog said. He's a genius, and his future will be limitless. Jiang Chen said that the young generation of the human race needed more people like Xueqing. If everyone was like Xueqing, the feather race wouldn't have to worry about not being eliminated. All right, Xueqing, you're too arrogant. Today, I'll let you know how powerful the feather race's geniuses are. The young winged man's aura fluctuated wildly. For him, this was his only chance to survive, so he naturally wouldn't miss it. Chapter 40-21. The two geniuses drew their swords, ready to fight it out. This wasn't just a battle between Xueqing and the young winged man. It was also a battle for the dignity of the human race and the winged race. One was a genius of the winged race, while the other was a genius of the human race. The young winged man was at the peak of the Unity Origin realm, but he was slightly injured. On the other hand, Xueqing had just reached the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. To the young winged man, he had to fight this battle. Even if it wasn't for the dignity of the winged race, he had to fight for his life. He had to defeat Xueqing at all costs. If he won, he would be able to live. If he lost, he wouldn't have another chance. He believed that Xueqing was a man of his word. After all, he was the young city lord of the Shenwu city. His words were worth their weight in gold. Make your move. The young winged man's murderous aura soared into the sky. He held a colorful spear made of feathers in his hand. The spear seemed to be a special weapon of the winged men. At least, most of the winged men that Jiang Chen had met so far used spears. Very few of them used other weapons. Of course, the power of the spear was undeniable, especially in the hands of a winged man. It could unleash extraordinary power. Just like now, the young winged man's spear vibrated and radiated a boundless light. He was extremely fast and arrived before Xueqing in the blink of an eye. Xueqing wasn't afraid at all. He raised his sword in the air and unleashed a sword chi that looked like a poisonous dragon. Shenwu sword art, skyward sword. Xueqing did not hesitate and immediately displayed the divine martial sword technique that he was so proud of. This sword technique was created by his father and was exclusive to the Xie family. There were a total of 8 moves and each move was fiercer and sharper than the previous one. Every move was like a surging river, continuous and unending. Xueqing had already cultivated to the 5th form. With Jiang Chen's guidance, he had already comprehended the essence of the divine martial sword technique. In addition, he and the shadowy figure had a tacit understanding of each other. Sword chi weaved into a sword net, almost covering the entire sky. Buzz! The young winged person's spear pierced through the layers of obstacles and pierced through Xueqing's layers of sword chi before clashing violently with Xueqing's sword. The young winged person unleashed his battle strength to the limit, wanting to defeat Xueqing as quickly as possible. This was his only chance, as he was injured and could not fight a protracted battle. Ending the battle as soon as possible was the best choice. Unfortunately, the young winged man had underestimated Xueqing. He had underestimated this young city lord, who lived like a prince in the eyes of outsiders. Clang! The spear and the sword collided with each other. Shockwaves surged and sparks flew in all directions. Both of them were forced to take 3 steps back. They seemed to be equally matched. In the next instant, Xueqing moved again. He spun his sword and used the 2nd form of the divine martial sword technique, pursuing shadow. His sword energy turned into a giant python. Xueqing leaped up from the back of the Black Hawk. His entire body seemed to have fused with the battle sword. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the young winged man. The young winged man's expression changed drastically. He clearly didn't expect the young city lord to be so powerful. However, he wasn't easy to deal with either. Almost instantly, he turned his spear around and blocked Xueqing's 2nd attack. However, the real show had just begun. Xueqi was like a bolt of lightning as he used the third form of the divine martial sword technique. His sword energy turned into a ray of light and swept across the sky. The attacks were seamless like a river. The young winged person was forced to retreat again and again. The spear in his hand kept blocking, and he did not even have time to use his wings to escape. Whoosh! The black hawk let out an excited cry and its huge body accurately stopped under Xueqi's feet. Xueqi's falling momentum was stabilized by the black hawk, and he used the fourth form of the divine martial sword technique. Like a ray of light, Xueqi's sword aura was like a bolt of lightning. The endless sword aura almost covered Xueqi's body. This attack was endless and it knocked away the spear in the young winged person's hand. The young winged person was in a sorry state. He spurted out a mouthful of blood and his aura started to become chaotic. The fifth form. Xueqi was so excited that he couldn't stop. His body was covered in layers of light as he used the fifth form of the divine martial sword technique. The young winged person could no longer resist and his chest was pierced by Xueqi's sword. No, this is impossible. The young winged person looked at Xueqi with his bloodshot eyes. He could feel his vitality flowing out of his body and the coldness of death. It was the first time in his life that he had been so close to death. You winged people are just a... Xueqi sneered and slowly pulled out his sword. This battle had a great impact on Xueqi. It had elevated him to a certain level. Maybe it was because of Zhang Chen's influence that he had the urge to fight the young winged person. This battle had laid the foundation for Xueqi to become a powerful cultivator. It gave him unprecedented confidence. Confidence was a person's greatest bargaining chip. Only with confidence could one achieve many things. Great! Senior brother Xie. You're amazing. You challenged a winged person and killed him with your sword. The divine martial sword technique is indeed sharp. It's very moving. We've won this battle. We can be famous in the martial pavilion. The disciples of the martial pavilion shouted excitedly. Xueqi had killed the young winged person with irresistible force. Under the divine martial sword technique, the young winged person couldn't fight back at all. This battle would completely establish Xueqi's prestige in the martial pavilion, and even in the Qidong region, as well as in the younger generation. The divine martial sword technique is worlds apart from Master's sword technique. There's nothing to be proud of. Compared to Master, there's so much we have to learn. Xueqi smiled. Xueqi wasn't proud of killing the young winged person in one battle. He could see his position and his own strength clearly. This was commendable. His temperament alone was far superior to most young geniuses. Xueqi's words caused Zhang Qing and the others to look at Zhang Chen once again. This time, they were completely convinced of Zhang Chen's strength. What Xueqi said was right. The divine martial sword technique couldn't be compared to Zhang Chen's sword technique at all. Only Zhang Chen's sword technique could be called a sword technique. Compared to Zhang Chen's sword technique, the divine martial sword technique was just child's play. The greatest contribution in today's battle was definitely not Xueqi, nor was it any one of them. It was Zhang Chen and Da Huang Dog. Although Da Huang Dog didn't do anything from the beginning to the end, if it wasn't for his secret formation, Xueqi wouldn't even have the chance to fight with the young winged person. Zhang Qing and the others completely witnessed how terrifying Zhang Chen was. His terrifying sword technique and the apocalyptic power of lightning had really opened their eyes. He killed 5/8 heavenly layer winged people with a single divine thunder, while Zhang Chen's cultivation was only at the 4th heavenly layer. They wouldn't have believed it if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes. Chapter 40-22. Collect the wings of these winged men. We can exchange them for rewards. With so many winged men geniuses, we can exchange them for a large sum of light stones. Xueqi said. All right. The people of the martial pavilion were in high spirits. They used their flight talismans to descend and tore off the wings of the winged men they had killed. Some of them had been burnt by Zhang Chen's lightning, but even so, they were still evidence. In the wilderness, they were in high spirits. This victory was a huge blow to their confidence. They had just come out of the martial pavilion, and they had already achieved such a great victory. When they returned to the martial pavilion, this battle would be enough for them to brag about for the rest of their lives. After cleaning up, Zhang Chen set the corpses of the winged men on fire, leaving no traces behind. We can't stay here for long. Let's leave quickly. Zhang Chen said. Although the corpses of the winged men were reduced, the aura of the winged men was still there. These winged men's noses were more sensitive than dogs. Zhang Chen had killed the winged men of Broken Feather Flow and the ninth young master of the winged men without leaving any evidence. However, the winged men still knew everything about him and knew that he was the one who killed the ninth young master. Although Zhang Chen did not know how the winged men did it, it was the truth. The winged men must have their own methods. For example, after killing so many winged men today, the winged men would most likely know that they were the culprit. Moreover, this place was very close to the Chilling Mountain. There would be more and more winged men. If they were to smell the aura of the winged men being killed here, it would definitely attract a lot of unnecessary trouble. Zhang Chen was naturally not afraid of the winged men, but he did not want to find trouble for himself. The main reason he had come out this time was because of the strange phenomenon on the Chilling Mountain. With his cultivation experience, the appearance of a strange phenomenon would definitely mean that there was something unimaginable. There might even be a treasure. Zhang Chen naturally could not miss such an opportunity. He would not let go of any chance to improve his cultivation. All right. Xie Ting, Zhang Qing, and the others nodded and hurriedly followed Zhang Chen's footsteps. Obviously, after this stop, they had unconsciously regarded Zhang Chen as their leader instead of Xie Ting. Xie Ting was also very happy about this. After all, he had always regarded Zhang Chen as his leader. Without Zhang Chen, he wouldn't be where he was today. His cultivation was still stuck at the peak of the sixth heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. The blocked meridians in his body hadn't been opened yet. In order to reduce their target, they chose to travel on foot. After all, this place was already very close to the Red Ridge Mountain. With their speed, even if they were to travel on foot, it wouldn't take long for them to reach the Red Ridge Mountain. Zhang Chen took out a few pills and threw them to the disciples who were injured in the fight. After thanking Zhang Chen, they swallowed the pills in one go. After taking Zhang Chen's pills, their expressions changed drastically. Their eyes widened, and the way they looked at Zhang Chen changed once again. This pill's healing effect is a little too good. My injuries have all been healed in an instant. Heavens, this is a miraculous pill. Senior Zhang, you're too amazing. Thank you, Senior Brother Zhang. This pill is too miraculous. Not only did you save our lives, you've even helped us recover from our injuries. We're truly unable to repay this kindness. Our attitude towards you before was neither cold nor warm. I hope that Senior Brother Zhang won't blame us. They were all stunned. It wasn't that they hadn't seen pills before, and it wasn't that they hadn't eaten healing pills. However, it was the first time they had seen a pill with such miraculous effects as Zhang Chen's. When Zhang Chen gave them the pill, they thought it was just a simple healing pill. Therefore, they swallowed it without looking at it carefully. Now, it seemed that the pill Zhang Chen gave them must be of a very high level, and such a high-level pill must be priceless. Many of them couldn't even afford such a pill. Now that Zhang Chen had given it to them for no reason, how could they not feel grateful? At the same time, they admired Zhang Chen's methods even more. They all knew that Zhang Chen was from the Purple Pill Pavilion. In other words, Zhang Chen himself was an alchemist. An alchemist who could concoct such a high-level pill could be described as shocking. How could a person be so outstanding to such an extent? Putting aside the fact that his innate talent and battle prowess were tyrannical, he was even an incredible alchemist. How were they supposed to compete with him? This was truly infuriating. I've said it before. Teacher's abilities are not what you can imagine. Learn from teacher. If teacher is willing to give you a few pointers on cultivation, the benefits you'll receive will definitely be unimaginable. Xie Ting said. He had been taught twice by Zhang Chen. He admired Zhang Chen's abilities from the bottom of his heart. In the entire martial pavilion, there was no one qualified to be called teacher by Xie Ting except for Zhang Chen. Xie Ting's words were undoubtedly a reminder to them. Zhang Qing was the first to speak. Teacher, in the battle just now, I have many shortcomings. I hope teacher can give me a few pointers. Zhang Qing was a smart person. Moreover, he trusted Xie Ting. Xie Ting's words were obviously for them to hear. If Zhang Qing still didn't listen to him, then he would be a hopeless fool. Zhang Qing also changed the way he addressed Zhang Chen. He followed Xie Ting's lead and respectfully called Zhang Chen teacher. Zhang Qing had probably never even dreamt of such a situation. With his identity, cultivation, and talent, there would actually be a day when he would have to call a disciple of the martial pavilion who was only at the fourth heavenly layer of the origin realm teacher. This was just too comical. But now, This funny thing happened in front of him. Moreover, no one forced him to do it. Zhang Qing was completely willing. Seeing that Zhang Qing had asked for guidance, the eyes of the others also landed on Jiang Chen without blinking. They all wanted to see if Jiang Chen could really give them pointers like Xueqi did. Jiang Chen smiled. He had a good impression of the people in front of him. In fact, in the Scarlet East region, the human race was relatively united, especially when it came to the righteous cause against the feather race. The hope of the human race was if the younger generation could stand up. Therefore, Jiang Chen was also willing to give them pointers, such as Zhang Qing. Your problem is very serious. Your cultivation method has gone against the flow, and the qi and blood in your body are already not flowing smoothly. If you don't solve it soon, you will never have the chance to step into the Earth Source realm. Jiang Chen glanced at Zhang Qing and said indifferently. As soon as he said this, Zhang Qing instantly felt like he had been struck by lightning. He knelt on the ground with a plop. Chapter 40-23. Zhang Qing's heart was in turmoil. His current mood was exactly the same as Xueqing's in the Qingyuan lightning pool. He was completely shocked. He had never told anyone about his problem. He had always been searching for a solution, but it was to no avail. Teacher, save me. In the past half a year, I've discovered that there's a problem with my cultivation, but I haven't been able to find the cause. Especially recently, when I'm cultivating or fighting, I feel that my qi and blood aren't flowing smoothly, and even my meridians are aching. I haven't been able to find a solution. Zhang Qing said, revealing all his problems. He didn't even know where the problem was. He had only been cultivating according to the cultivation technique, and he didn't know when he was going against the flow. However, he was sure that there was definitely a problem with his cultivation, and it was a very big problem. Today, Jiang Chen had pointed out the root of his problem, which shocked Zhang Qing. He had reason to believe that since Jiang Chen could find the root of his problem, he would definitely have a way to help him solve it. The others were also dumbfounded. Even if they already believed that Xueqing's rapid progress was due to Jiang Chen's guidance, Jiang Chen's ability to see through Zhang Qing's problem with a single glance was too shocking. This person was a little too terrifying. But at the same time, they saw hope in Jiang Chen. Just like what Xueqi had said, they had all encountered various problems in their cultivation. There were many problems that they couldn't solve. If they could obtain Jiang Chen's guidance, the benefits they could obtain would be endless. It's simple. The next time you cultivate, remember to circulate your cultivation technique in a minor cycle, not a major cycle. In less than a month, your problem will be solved, and you will definitely break through to the Earth Source realm in half a year. Jiang Chen said. Minor cycle? Zhang Qing stared blankly for a moment. Then, a feeling of enlightenment suddenly surged into his heart. Then he slapped his forehead. His entire person felt as if he had been enlightened. Thank you for your guidance, teacher. Zhang Qing stood up and bowed deeply towards Jiang Chen. He had been in low spirits for a long time, so after receiving Jiang Chen's guidance, he felt completely refreshed, as if he could see the future once again. If he could really break through to the Earth Source realm within half a year, that would be too wonderful. Teacher, my name is Han Dong. I also have a problem. Recently, my lower abdomen has been swollen and painful, and my body is cold. It's extremely uncomfortable, and it's hard for me to advance my cultivation. That's why I came out to train, hoping to get some fortuitous encounters. A little fatty grabbed Jiang Chen's shoulder, his eyes filled with desire. You've been poisoned by cold poison. The cold poison has already seeped into your dantian. If you don't deal with it now, there's no hope. Jiang Chen glanced at Han Dong and said faintly. Boom! With that, Han Dong felt like he had been struck by lightning. Sweat poured down his body like rain, drenching his clothes in an instant. His face paled, and he felt powerless for a moment. Cold poison. That's right. 3 months ago, he had fought an ice beast. Although he had killed it in the end, he had also been attacked by the ice beast. He had not paid much attention to it back then, but now that he thought about it, the cold poison must have come from the ice beast. Plop. Just like Zhang Qing, Han Dong knelt before Jiang Chen with a plop. Teacher, save me. You have to save me. Han Dong knew that his problem was even more serious than Zhang Qing's. He had been poisoned by cold poison, but even he did not know about it. However, Jiang Chen had seen through it with a single glance. Moreover, according to Jiang Chen, If the cold poison was not dealt with as soon as possible, there would really be no hope for him. Having learned the truth, Han Dong's face was ashen. He could only kneel before Jiang Chen and beg for help. He knew very well that only the omnipotent Jiang Chen could save his life. "Get up," Jiang Chen said in a commanding tone. How would Han Dong dare to disobey? He stood up shakily from the ground. Jiang Chen grabbed Han Dong's wrist. "Release all your defenses. Don't resist." "All right." Han Dong nodded repeatedly. He knew that Jiang Chen wanted to help him resolve his problem. Naturally, he was very obedient and did not dare to have the slightest bit of disobedience. A fire dragon darted out from Jiang Chen's palm and entered Han Dong's body with a swoosh. It flowed through his meridians and entered his dantian. SSSSS. Han Dong's body trembled. He subconsciously wanted to resist, but he quickly released his defenses and allowed the fire dragon to wreak havoc in his body. At this moment, Han Dong had no other choice but to trust Jiang Chen. Moreover, he believed that Jiang Chen would not harm him. After all, with Jiang Chen's ability, if he wanted Han Dong's life, he could directly make a move. Han Dong was not a match for him at all. There was no need for him to play any tricks. In an instant, Han Dong's body was covered in flames. The fire dragon had entered his body. Although it was under Jiang Chen's effective control, the scorching sensation still made Han Dong feel extremely uncomfortable. However, Han Dong knew that Jiang Chen wanted to use the fire dragon to eliminate the cold poison in his body. Moreover, Han Dong could still endure the pain. After all, this pain was nothing compared to the pain of the cold poison acting up. In just 10 seconds, the fire dragon emerged from Han Dong's body and returned to Jiang Chen's palm. The cold poison has been eliminated. There are no more problems, Jiang Chen said indifferently. "Thank you, teacher. Thank you, teacher. There's nothing I can do to repay you for saving my life. If there's anything you need me to do in the future, I, Han Dong, will do it even if I have to go through fire and water." Han Dong was extremely excited. His face was filled with gratitude. As an expert of the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm, he could feel that the cold poison in his body had been completely eliminated. His entire body felt much lighter and indescribably comfortable. The remaining 3 disciples were already dumbfounded. Their hearts were in turmoil. This was too amazing. He wasn't human at all. He was a god. This was the so-called omnipotent. He had easily solved Zhang Qing's cultivation problem and helped Han Dong get rid of the cold poison with a wave of his hand. This was truly heaven-defying. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. "Teacher, I also have a question." "Teacher, me too, me too." How could the 3 of them let go of such a great opportunity? Jiang Chen was a god, a true grandmaster. In the entire Scarlet East region and even the entire Crimson Afterglow star boundary, there wasn't a second person with such attainments in cultivation. They didn't know why Jiang Chen, who was only at the 4th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm, had such unfathomable cultivation experience and such terrifying heaven-defying abilities. However, this wasn't important anymore. What was important was that they could truly benefit from Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen wasn't stingy either. He solved the problems of the remaining 3 disciples one by one. Even if they didn't say it, Jiang Chen already knew their problems. With his eyesight, these people seemed to be transparent in his eyes. Moreover, they had fought with the winged man in front of him. Everything was exposed in front of Jiang Chen. Chapter 40-24. After receiving Jiang Chen's guidance, everyone felt as if they had been enlightened. The path of cultivation had always been filled with difficulties. Every single person would face a wall, a gloomy place. Jiang Chen's guidance was like a wave of assistance, a beacon of light that helped them push past the wall in front of them, dispelling the gloominess and illuminating the path ahead. Nothing could fascinate a cultivator more than an epiphany and a sudden enlightenment. For example, right now, they felt as if their entire being had been sublimated. They had absolute confidence that they would be able to break through the bottleneck in an extremely short amount of time and ascend to a higher realm. From then on, everyone began to respectfully address Jiang Chen as teacher, just like Xueqi. Some of them even had tears streaming down their cheeks. They had cultivated in the martial pavilion for so many years, but they could not compare to a few words from Jiang Chen. This was the realm of cultivation, an unreachable realm. In their hearts, Jiang Chen was a godlike existence. "Teacher, The Chilling Mountain is just ahead. Xueqi pointed ahead. They were currently on high ground, and as far as the eye could see, they could see a boundless mountain range 100 kilometers away. The mountains were connected to each other, stretching endlessly all the way to the horizon. Mist filled the air above the mountain range, and demonic chi soared into the sky. Even from 100 kilometers away, one could still feel the ferocious aura from the mountain range. Teacher, the Chilling Mountain is filled with demonic beasts, making it extremely dangerous. Aside from the winged people, there are even more ferocious greater demonic beasts. We have to be careful when we enter. If we're even the slightest bit careless, even earthly source experts will die here. Zhang Qing said. Of course, where there's danger, there's also opportunity. Where greater demonic beasts roam, there will often be even more heavenly resources. If we're lucky, we'll be able to obtain quite a lot of benefits. This is also the reason why so many people are willing to come to the Chilling Mountain to train. That's right. Danger and opportunity are equally important. If we were to shrink back because of danger, we wouldn't have come to the Chilling Mountain in the first place. Han Dong and the others also spoke up. Facing the dangers of the Chilling Mountain, they were not afraid, but excited. Especially after the bloody battle with the winged men, every one of them had a huge boost in confidence. Moreover, with Jiang Chen's guidance, every one of them felt as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Not to mention this dangerous Crimson Ridge Mountain, they would even dare to climb a mountain of blades. Let's go, don't waste any more time. De Huang Dog couldn't wait any longer. De Huang Dog became even more excited when he heard that there were demonic beasts running amok. What he needed to do now was to improve his cultivation. After all, his cultivation was only at the peak of the third heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. He couldn't even reach the fourth heavenly layer. With such a cultivation base, De Huang Dog would not be able to intervene once they encountered a battle where they were evenly matched with Jiang Chen and the others. Just like when they fought against the winged people, this made De Huang Dog extremely depressed and aggrieved. Therefore, De Huang Dog had to improve his cultivation as soon as possible. Of course, it was still extremely easy for De Huang Dog to improve his cultivation base. At the very least, it was much easier than for ordinary people. De Huang Dog had already thought about what he needed to do. The great advantage of the Chilling Mountain was that he needed to use, which was to kill and devour the demonic beasts. De Huang Dog was different from ordinary people. As long as he constantly devoured the demonic beasts, he could constantly improve his cultivation base. To put it bluntly, with his current foundation, if he had enough demonic beasts, he could reach the 7th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm in 3 days. Such a terrifying rate of improvement might be a little shocking, but it was nothing in front of De Huang Dog. The group continued forward, heading towards the Chilling Mountain. This time, no one dared to look down on De Huang Dog anymore. They had personally witnessed this dog's abilities. His formations were just too amazing. Much more amazing than many of the elders of the Everlasting Pavilion. More importantly, De Huang Dog was Jiang Chen's brother. They could all see the relationship between the two. Now that they were addressing Jiang Chen as their teacher, they naturally did not dare to neglect this dog. The Chilling Mountains spanned thousands of miles. Such a large mountain range was relatively famous in the entire Crimson East region. Furthermore, it was a place where crooks mixed with the honest folk, demonic beasts ran amok, and humans and winged people could often be seen. To put it bluntly, this was a land of slaughter, a land of sin, a hell of Azura. Anyone who stepped into this place would face the threat of death at all times. Danger was always around. Even if an earthly source expert came here, they would not dare to say that they would be able to walk out alive. As a result, anyone who came to the Chilling Mountain needed to be extremely careful. They did not dare to be careless in the slightest. The phenomenon that had appeared on the Chilling Mountain had attracted a large number of humans and winged race members. As a result, the already dangerous Chilling Mountain had at least doubled in danger. As soon as they set foot on the Chilling Mountain, a steel-armored dragon blocked their path. 2 extremely ferocious steel-armored dragons shook their heads and wagged their tails as they roared at Jiang Chen's group. However, the 2 steel-armored dragons could clearly tell that the group before them was not to be trifled with, so they only roared and did not attack. A 4th heavenly layer steel-armored dragon, said Xueqi. This isn't normal. We've only just set foot on the edge of the Chilling Mountain. Why have such powerful demonic beasts appeared here? Zhang Qing frowned. 4th heavenly layer Unity Origin realm demonic beasts were not truly terrifying, but the Scarlet Mountain range was so large. Origin Realm demonic beasts usually roamed around the outskirts of the mountain range, so it was not normal for a fourth heavenly layer Unity Origin Realm demonic beast to appear as soon as they arrived. Kaka, who cares if it's normal or not? It'll be a waste if I don't eat the meat that's already in my mouth. De Huang Dog cackled. He did not care if it was normal or not. He leapt onto the steel armor dragon with his muscular body and arrived before it in the blink of an eye. The steel armor dragon was immediately enraged when it saw a third heavenly layer steel armor dragon trying to show off. It opened its bloody mouth and chomped at De Huang Dog. Unfortunately, the difference between them and De Huang Dog was just too great. With a single leap, De Huang Dog leapt onto the steel armor dragon's head. Its sharp claws ripped open the steel armor dragon's head and a blood-red demon spirit shot out. De Huang Dog swallowed it in a single gulp before turning to attack the other steel armor dragon. The steel armor dragon paled in fright. A Unity Realm demonic beast was extremely intelligent. As long as they wanted to, they could take human form at any time. The steel armor dragon could tell how terrifying this dog was, so it turned around and ran. Chapter 40-25. Fuck. When Han Dong and the others saw all of this, they were all dumbfounded. Only the word fuck could describe the shock in their hearts when they saw this scene. That's way too awesome. Even Xueqi let out a sigh. They had never taken De Huang Dog seriously. Even if De Huang Dog was proficient in profound arrays, their opinion of De Huang Dog had completely changed now. What was an armored dragon? It was a demonic beast that excelled in attacking. Its destructive power was astonishing. To put it bluntly, a human cultivator of the same level would find it difficult to be a match for an armored dragon. The two fourth heavenly layer steel armored dragons were like playthings in front of Big Yellow, who was at the third heavenly layer. They didn't even have the chance to resist before they were killed. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Sure enough, there were only freaks around freaks. Jiang Chen's freakishness had long been ingrained in everyone's hearts. Now, even a dog beside him was so ferocious. This human-dog combination was truly terrifying. After eating two armored dragon demon spirits in a row, De Huang Dog raised his head and roared. His aura began to soar. In the blink of an eye, his cultivation had advanced to the fourth heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm. Everyone was dumbfounded once again. This was probably the most barbaric method of advancement they had ever seen. This kind of advancement was illogical and unreasonable, but it was very real. Furthermore, how good must his teeth be to be able to eat the hard demon spirit of the armored dragon like it was a bean, crunching and crunching? Awesome! De Huang Dog shook his head in excitement. The Scarlet Ridge Mountain was simply a blessed land for him. Just by relying on the demon spirits of the demonic beasts here, De Huang Dog's cultivation would increase by leaps and bounds. Jiang Chen smiled and gave De Huang Dog a thumbs up. He understood De Huang Dog too well. This guy's foundation was too strong, so it was easy for him to advance. The group continued forward. Along the way, the entire Qi Ling Mountain was filled with the roars of demonic beasts. Thick demonic qi filled the air, and the entire Qi Ling Mountain was shrouded in an indescribable oppressive atmosphere. Ting, Mount Qiliang is not normal. I've been here before. Although there were many demonic beasts here, they were never this agitated. But now, all the demonic beasts in Mount Qiliang are agitated. It's too violent. Zhang Qing frowned. It is indeed abnormal. It seems to have something to do with that strange phenomenon. Xueqi said. It's an indescribable oppressive force that has enveloped the entire Red Ridge Mountain. Not to mention these demonic beasts. Even I am feeling extremely agitated. Han Dong said. The group cautiously advanced for several hundred li. Along the way, they encountered many demonic beasts, but they were all eliminated by De Huang Dog alone. Because the level of the demonic beasts that appeared wasn't too high, Jiang Chen and the others were quite relaxed. With De Huang Dog leading the way, they didn't need to do anything. And De Huang Dog was truly amazing. In just a short period of time, his cultivation base had reached the peak of the fourth heavenly layer of Unity Origin Realm, and he was about to advance to the fifth heavenly layer. Xueqi and the others were completely speechless. They were so shocked that they didn't even want to speak. They had cultivated for so long, and every time they advanced, it was extremely difficult. Sometimes they would be thankful if they could advance by one level in half a year. Looking at De Huang Dog's advancement, It was like drinking cold water. How could they not feel depressed? Rumble. Suddenly, a violent rumble resounded from inside the Qiling mountain. The sound wave soared into the sky, and the entire Qiling mountain was shaking. Rocks were flying in the air, and the ground was shaking violently. Cracks appeared on the ground. What's going on? What an intense tremor. Is an ancient beast about to be born? It shouldn't be. I don't sense the aura of a great beast. I wonder what's going on? The violent tremors of the Qiling mountain must be related to the strange phenomenon from before. Everyone's expression changed slightly. Some of them had been to the Qiling mountain before. Even those who hadn't had a good understanding of the place. This was the first time something like this had happened. Something unexpected will happen. Everyone, be careful, Jiang Chen said. His senses were much sharper than the others. His intuition told him that the Qiling mountain was not as simple as it seemed. However, as for what exactly was going to happen, Jiang Chen couldn't sense it. Not long after the violent rumble disappeared, world-shaking roars of demonic beasts began to resound throughout the Qiling mountain. All the demonic beasts on the mountain seemed to have been alarmed. It was as if doomsday had arrived in the entire mountain range. After that, the ground continued to tremble. However, it wasn't caused by the previous commotion. Instead, it was caused by the demonic beasts' restlessness. It could be felt that the demonic beasts on the Qiling mountain had gone berserk and were running wildly. In front of them, a black mass of demonic beasts appeared out of nowhere. Every demonic beast had bloodshot eyes, and they were crazily running towards the outside of the Qiling mountain. Swoosh! This was a beast tide, a rare beast tide. There were demonic beasts everywhere, and they were in groups. Large areas of the forest were destroyed by the rampaging demonic beasts. These demonic beasts, who were running wildly towards the outside of the Qiling mountain, saw Jiang Chen and the others. They immediately attacked in a frenzy, baring their fangs and claws. Motherfucker! Why is there a beast tide? Han Dong couldn't help but curse. Everyone's expression changed. They were so unlucky. In a place like the Qiling mountain, the most terrifying thing to encounter was a beast tide. There were countless demonic beasts, and if they were to charge together, it would be impossible to avoid them. The sky was filled with black masses of flying beasts. Even if they had flight charms, they wouldn't be able to use them. This area had instantly turned into a sea of demonic beasts. It didn't matter if they flew into the sky or stayed on the ground, they would still have to face the beast tide. It was easy to imagine the consequences of being engulfed by such a terrifying beast tide. Even the most powerful experts would be exhausted to death. Moreover, there were many powerful demonic beasts among them, and it would be extremely difficult to deal with them. I don't know why these demonic beasts have been infected. They are now bent on escaping from the Qiling mountain. Jiang Chen said, "Let's make way for them and let them escape." Han Dong said, "That's impossible. Look at their eyes. All the demonic beasts have gone crazy. Not only do they want to leave the Qiling mountain, but they will also treat any humans they meet as prey. Everyone, get ready to fight." Jiang Chen said. The heavenly dragon sword had already appeared in his hand. Motherfucker! So unlucky! We have just arrived at the Qiling mountain, and we have already encountered a beast tide that is rarely seen in 100 years. One of them couldn't help but curse. He had the urge to vomit blood. This terrifying beast tide was much more difficult to deal with than the winged men. A slight carelessness could lead to one's death. Chapter 40-26. Beast swarms were the last thing any cultivator wanted to encounter, especially when they encountered berserk demonic beasts. They would disregard everything and only knew how to kill. Once they were targeted by such demonic beasts, the consequences would be unimaginable. Stay together, everyone. Don't get separated by the beast swarms. Xueqi held his sword in front of him and reminded everyone solemnly. Even without his reminder, the others knew the severity of the situation. If they were separated by the beast swarms, they would basically die. Even if the demonic beasts were weaker than them, they would still be exhausted to death. Staying together meant that they could rely on each other. At times like this, teamwork was the only way to get out of this predicament. Wakaka, this master dog's feast is here. De Huang dog was the size of a quack. Facing the terrifying beast swarms, the dog showed no fear at all. Instead, he was excited. Jiang Chen was the same. He licked his lips in excitement. Compared to his and De Huang Dog's experiences, this was nothing. They had been through situations that were 100 times more dangerous. Jiang Chen was currently at the peak of the 4th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. He could sense the extraordinariness of the Scarlet Ridge Mountain, so he wanted to raise his cultivation to the 5th heavenly layer as soon as possible. The beast swarms before him were also an opportunity. If De Huang Dog could devour demonic spirits, so could he. With so many demonic beasts, Jiang Chen could casually kill a few of the stronger ones. Reaching the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm would be a cinch. The group of demons danced chaotically, the beast tide attacking ferociously to the extreme. De Huang Dog took the lead. His body enlarged by 10 times in everyone's eyes, turning into an unparalleled dog. His body radiated a scarlet gold aura as he charged towards the beast swarms. De Huang Dog's iron head art was invincible. Any demonic beast that came into contact with him would be torn to pieces, flesh and blood flying everywhere. Right now, De Huang Dog was already at the peak of the 4th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Ordinary 6th heavenly layer demonic beasts were no match for him, let alone those below the 6th heavenly layer. As long as they were touched by De Huang Dog, they would die immediately. De Huang Dog rampaged, digging out large amounts of demonic spirits and devouring them. To De Huang Dog, this was undoubtedly a feast, a true feast. De Huang Dog did not hold back, feasting to his heart's content. On the other side, Xueqi and the others had formed a circle. They were soon drowned by the demonic beasts from all directions to attack them. The sword chi crisscrossed, and no one dared to be careless. They didn't even dare to be distracted. These demonic beasts were too savage, and none of them were afraid of death. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they bit everywhere they went, staring at the sharp sword chi. Their minds had been corrupted, so they no longer knew what death was like. They had locked onto the humans and treated them as prey. They only had one goal, which was to tear them apart and devour them. An 8th heavenly layer Unity ape appeared. It was 6 meters tall, pitch black, and as sturdy as an iron tower. It roared at the sky. The ape locked onto Jiang Chen and threw a punch, wanting to smash Jiang Chen to a pulp. Jiang Chen did not dare to be careless. This ape was rather powerful, incomparable to ordinary 8th heavenly layer Unity experts. With his current strength, it would be difficult to kill this ape if he did not use Draconic Transformation. Draconic Transformation. Jiang Chen bellowed. He did not bother hiding anymore. There was no need for him to hide in the beast tide. It did not matter even if Xueqi and the others saw his trump card. After all, they were not his enemies. Roar. With an earth-shaking dragon roar, Jiang Chen's half-dragon appearance stunned Xueqi and the others who were fighting once again. Is this a dragon? Is teacher a member of the dragon clan? No, this is a transformation technique. It's just too powerful. Teacher just has too many trump cards. This transformation can increase his battle prowess by 10 times. Terrifying. Terrifying. This is just too terrifying. Such a powerful dragon chi is basically the same as the legendary true dragons. Everyone was stunned. Jiang Chen had surprised them time and time again. They had already begun to grow numb to it now. All they felt for Jiang Chen was admiration. Endless admiration. Aside from that, they could not help but feel excited once again, because the more powerful Jiang Chen was, the more benefits it would bring them. They were a team now. Jiang Chen had given them enough confidence. With Jiang Chen present, they had nothing to fear. Jiang Chen extended his blood-red dragon claw, colliding heavily with the violent ape's fist. What followed was a heart-wrenching howl. The violent ape at the 8th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm became an existence that could not even withstand a single blow from Jiang Chen. One of its arms was directly shattered by Jiang Chen's dragon claw, turning into a bloody mess. Before the violent ape could even react, Jiang Chen had already leapt up and grabbed its head with his dragon claw. Bang! With a loud bang, the violent ape's head exploded. Blood sprayed out everywhere, and a demon's soul flew up into the air. Jiang Chen grabbed it with his hand. With Jiang Chen's current cultivation and the Draconic Transformation, there were barely any people below the earthly origin realm that could be his opponent. However, the violent ape's demonic spirit was enough to raise Jiang Chen's cultivation to the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. If Jiang Chen, who was at the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm, used the Draconic Transformation, he would truly be invincible below the earthly origin realm. Without any hesitation, nothing was more important than raising his cultivation. Jiang Chen swallowed the demonic spirit and refined it on the spot. All of this was witnessed by Xueqi and the others. A human cultivator was able to devour the demon soul of a demonic beast. This itself was a shocking thing, but they were no longer shocked by it, because it was happening to Jiang Chen. In their hearts, no matter what extraordinary things happened to Jiang Chen, they would no longer be shocked, because they had already become numb, completely numb. In their hearts, Jiang Chen was already an omnipotent existence. No matter what he did, it was reasonable. In a short while, the violent ape's demonic spirit was refined, and Jiang Chen's cultivation successfully broke through to the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. His battle prowess soared once again, but he did not deactivate the draconic transformation and continue his slaughter. At the same time, De Huang Dog had also advanced to the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm in a short period of time, becoming even more savage. This guy really treated the beast tide as his own feast, sweeping away the clouds like a whirlwind. Xueqi and the others were completely speechless. These two were the real abnormal beings, two super abnormal beings. The wave of beasts that made them tremble with fear had become a fun game in front of Jiang Chen and Big Yellow. They weren't afraid at all, they were just playing around with the beasts. Chapter 40-27. With them around, it seems like we don't have to be too afraid of this beast tide. Zhang Qing could not help but laugh. Xueqi, Han Dong, and the others also laughed. Zhang Qing was right. With Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog's ferocity, the pressure on them was indeed a lot less. Not a lot but a lot less. In the midst of the beast tide, Jiang Chen unfurled his dragon wings and rampaged about. His dragon wings were like two indestructible blades. Wherever they passed, flesh and blood splattered and screams filled the air. Any demonic beast that was swept by Jiang Chen's dragon wings would be sliced in half at the waist and die a horrible death on the spot. With such a powerful impact, it was as if one man could hold the pass against 10,000 enemies. Under Jiang Chen's rampage, the black mass of demonic beasts was torn apart, completely out of formation. Many demonic beasts saw how fierce Jiang Chen was and did not dare to approach him. Moreover, Jiang Chen's body carried the chi of the true dragon, which had an innate bloodline suppression on these demonic beasts, causing them to instinctively fear him. The Crimson Ridge Mountain was in chaos. The demonic beasts went berserk, and there was more than one beast tide. All the demonic beasts in the Crimson Ridge Mountain were running away. There were at least 7 or 8 large-scale beast tides. Apart from Jiang Chen and Xueqing's group, there were also a few teams from the Martial Pavilion that were attacked by the beast tides. Their fates were much more miserable. The beast tide had just started, but there were already casualties. After all, they did not have terrifying existences like Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog on their side. Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog were not afraid of exhaustion at all. The source energy in their bodies was endless, and they seemed to be the natural nemesis of demonic beasts. Demonic beasts were originally a relatively ferocious group, but Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog were even more ferocious than demonic beasts. In comparison, they were even more ferocious than demonic beasts. There was still a large number of winged men in the Crimson Ridge Mountain. Many of them had also been attacked by the beast tide. However, the winged men's reactions were slightly better. They had wings on their bodies, and as soon as they sensed that something was wrong, they immediately used their wings to escape. Even if they didn't leave, they had nothing to fear as they flew in the sky. It was very difficult to injure the winged people by relying on flying beasts. The winged people were flying beasts. Their wings were not only unparalleled in speed, but they were also very powerful. In a battle in the sky, ordinary flying beasts were not a match for the winged people. At the same time, in the extreme north of the Scarlet East region, in the rising Feather Mountain Range. It was the largest mountain range in the entire Crimson East region, dominating the northern part of the Crimson East region, occupying nearly half of the territory. This mountain range was undulating and covered in mist all day long. Spiritual chi was abundant above the mountain range, showing the style of a great power. On top of the mountain range, there were several cities. Among them, the largest was called Sky Plume City. This was the center of the Feather Race's territory. The entire rising Feather Mountain Range was the Feather Race's territory. Sky Plume City was the center of the Feather Race. The Feather Race's highest bloodline, the Feather Race, lived here. The Feather Race's patriarch was an 8-winged Feather Race person. His bloodline was noble, and he was the only 8-winged feather race person in the entire Crimson East region. The feather race's patriarch, Zhao Lingxiao, was originally a 6-winged feather race person. Later on, he relied on his own willpower to cultivate to become an 8-winged feather race person. It should be known that it was easy to improve one's cultivation, but it was extremely difficult to improve one's bloodline. However, Zhao Lingxiao had managed to do it. The feather race was the general name of a race. The surnames within the feather race were quite complicated. Not all members of the feather race had the surname Feather. In this aspect it was similar to the human race. They were a race to begin with and did not have a fixed surname. In the feather race of the Crimson East region, the surname Zhao represented the highest surname. Zhao Lingxiao, a heavenly source expert, was the representative of the feather race in the entire Crimson East region. At this moment, in the highest meeting hall of the feather race in Skyplume City, a dozen high-ranking members of the feather race had gathered together. These people were all heavenly source experts, and their cultivation was unfathomable. Sitting in the center of the hall was a middle-aged man. He had a dignified appearance and looked to be in his 40s. His resolute face was filled with a domineering aura. Sitting there, he exuded a dignified aura without being angry. The dignity of a leader was inviolable. Needless to say, there was only one person who could sit in this position in Skyplume City, and that was the feather race's patriarch, Zhao Lingxiao. "How is the matter in Chilling Mountain going?" Zhao Lingxiao asked. An old man stood up and said with a smile, "Patriarch, don't worry. Everything is under control. A large-scale beast tide has already erupted. In a day at most, all the demonic beasts in Chilling Mountain will leave. At that time, the Star-Lord's ruins will open, and the people of the human race's martial pavilion will definitely be attracted." "Very good. Everything is going according to plan. Whether or not we can destroy the human race will depend on this." The corners of Zhao Lingxiao's mouth curled into a cold smile. He played with the 2 7-colored stones in his hand, and his face was filled with the aura of a strategist. "Haha, this time, the human race will definitely take the bait. The martial pavilion will not be able to see through all the arrangements we have made. When the time comes, we will destroy the martial pavilion's younger generation and destroy the foundation of the human race. In less than 100 years, the human race will definitely be destroyed. At that time, the entire Scarlet East region will be the feather race's world. That's right, Wu Changtian and Xie Yunpang will definitely not be able to discover anything fishy about the Star-Lord's ruins. Once all the demonic beasts have left Chilling Mountain, we will release the aura of the Star-Lord's ruins to attract the human race's attention." A group of feather race elders were plotting a long-term plan to deal with the human race. At this moment, Chilling Mountain was in a state of chaos. The beast tide surged. At least for the next day, Chilling Mountain would not be peaceful. Amidst this violent beast tide, no one knew that there was an even greater conspiracy waiting for them. This conspiracy would be a major event in the entire Scarlet East region. The sky was dark. Jiang Chen and a Huang dog were rampaging through the beast tide. Flesh and blood flew everywhere. There were too many demonic beasts on Chilling Mountain, and it was impossible to kill them all. Half a day passed in the blink of an eye. Dusk fell, but the demonic beasts were still in groups. The continuous battles had caused Xueqi and the others to feel a little tired. They had already begun to use source stones to support themselves. In fact, they were not under too much pressure, because most of the pressure had been shouldered by Jiang Chen and a Huang dog. At this moment, Jiang Chen and a Huang dog were still slaughtering the demonic beasts in a frenzy. They seemed to be swimming in an ocean, rippling back and forth. The demonic beasts that had died in their hands numbered in the thousands. The corpses on the ground were almost enough to form a mountain. Looking at Jiang Chen and a Huang dog, they did not seem tired at all. Their morale was high, as if the consumption of demonic beasts in the past half a day did not exist for them at all. Not only did they not consume any demonic beasts, the Huang dog's cultivation had reached the peak of the 6th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin Realm after eating a lot of demonic beasts. Judging from his appearance, he still had a strong foundation, as if he could continue to advance as long as he had enough demonic beasts. It's too abnormal. It's really too abnormal. I can't find any other words to describe them other than abnormal. Han Dong looked at Jiang Chen and a Huang dog, shaking his head and sighing. Chapter 40-28. The terrifying beast tide lasted for an entire day. There were 7 to 8 beast tides, and the disciples of the martial pavilion who came here to train suffered heavy losses. Aside from Jiang Chen's group, there were another 5 to 6 groups that were attacked by the beast tides, and almost all of them were wiped out. Only 2 or 3 people survived, and at least 30 people died in the beast tides. The others were luckier, as they didn't encounter the beast tides at all. On the other hand, the feather race suffered very few losses, or in other words, almost no losses at all. Under the earthly source realm, the feather race indeed had the upper hand. After the beast tides ended, the corpses of demonic beasts piled up in a radius of several kilometers on Jiang Chen's side. The air was filled with the pungent smell of blood. Jiang Chen's cultivation had reached the peak of the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. He had gained quite a lot from this battle. However, compared to De Huang Dog, it was nothing. De Huang Dog was the true winner of this beast tide. God knows how many demonic spirits he had eaten, and his cultivation had skyrocketed. In just a day, his cultivation had directly reached the 7th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm, and he was only a step away from the 8th heavenly layer. Everyone sighed. They had all witnessed how powerful De Huang Dog was, and they knew that no one present dared to say that they were De Huang Dog's opponent in his current state. Even Zhang Qing did not have the slightest confidence in facing De Huang Dog head-on. Just a single beast tide battle had made De Huang Dog go from the weakest in the group to a peak expert. His body had returned to normal, and he stood proudly. He was the true king of beasts. Jiang Chen, who was at the peak of the 5th heavenly layer, and Big Yellow, who was at the peak of the 7th heavenly layer, were a perfect match for each other. Their tacit understanding in battle could only be described as perfect. Xueqi and the others were completely exhausted. They sat on the ground like frozen eggplants, gasping for breath. They had consumed too much energy. The endless battles had almost emptied their bodies. Moreover, each of them had more or less some injuries on their bodies. Fortunately, they were still alive and their lives were not in danger. However, they knew very well that the reason why they were still alive was because of Jiang Chen and Big Yellow. This was the scariest wave of beasts they had ever encountered. They had no doubt that if Jiang Chen and Big Yellow weren't here, the losses they would suffer would be unimaginable. It would be a miracle if only 2 of them could survive in the end. Now, everyone had been saved. This was something worth celebrating. Zhang Qing and the others looked at Xueqi gratefully. This trip was far more dangerous than they had imagined. If Xueqi hadn't invited Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog along, they wouldn't have been able to deal with the winged people or the beast tide. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that Jiang Chen had saved their lives twice in a row. He had even given them pointers on the shortcomings of their cultivation. This was a huge favor that could not be expressed in words. Master, this time, it's all thanks to you and Brother De Huang. Without you, we might have already been buried in the beast tide, Xueqi said. Xueqi said, his tone was filled with gratitude and admiration towards Jiang Chen. The beast tide is not normal. Something big will happen in the Qiliang Mountain. All of you should hurry up and recover. Be prepared to deal with all kinds of emergencies at any time, Jiang Chen said. He had already sensed the abnormality in the Qiliang Mountain, but he didn't know what the problem was. He just had a bad feeling about it. With Jiang Chen's strength, once he had some kind of premonition, it would be extremely accurate. This kind of ordinary feeling would not come out of nowhere. All right. Xueqi and the others nodded. They knew that Jiang Chen's words were not without reason. The Qiliang Mountain was currently in a truly perilous situation. They could face something even more terrifying than the beast tide at any time. And no matter what was about to happen, maintaining their peak combat strength and condition was the most important and necessary thing to do. They took out a large number of source stones and some healing pills and began to recover at a rapid pace. As they recovered, they were filled with envy and jealousy. Monsters like Jiang Chen and De Huang Dog were really too infuriating. They had been fighting intensely for so long, but not only did it seem like their source power had not been consumed in the slightest, but they were also constantly advancing. Up until now, they had maintained their peak condition. Facing this kind of situation, everyone could only sigh. They had long since gotten used to being beaten up. No matter what strange things happened to this man and dog, they would not be surprised. While Xueqi and the others were recovering, Jiang Chen gazed into the distance. His soul power spread out in an attempt to find the source of the change in the Qiliang Mountain, but he still failed in the end. Compared to the eternal world, his current cultivation base was still too weak. His soul power and divine sense were not strong enough, so the range of his detection was limited. But Jiang Chen was a cultivator ancestor after all. He had experienced too many things in his life. I'm afraid something big is about to happen in the Chilling Mountain, Jiang Chen said. Who cares what it is? Let's just finish it. De Huang Dog shook his head. He was very carefree. However, when De Huang Dog said let's finish it, Jiang Chen agreed with him. These two brothers had experienced all kinds of storms. A mere Chilling Mountain was not even worth mentioning. It was not an exaggeration to say that there was no existence in the Crimson East region that could make Jiang Chen feel fear. Jiang Chen hadn't cared about the feather race at all. 2 hours later, Xueqi, Zhang Qing, and the others gradually recovered. Although they were not at their peak, they were almost there. Rumble. At this time, the center of the Chilling Mountain once again reverberated with an earth-shattering roar. However, there were no demonic beasts in the entire mountain range now. Almost all the demonic beasts had fled from the Chilling Mountain for some reason during the previous beast tide. A beam of red light suddenly shot up into the sky. The red light exploded in the sky and turned into an illusory palace, floating in the air. At the same time, the aura of a treasure spread out, covering the entire Chilling Mountain. Look, what is that? Han Dong pointed at the palace in the void. It's an illusion, a kind of projection. The treasure map of the Chilling Mountain is about to come out. Looking at the projection of the palace, it should be a relic left behind by an expert. Xueqi said. The relic is a space of its own, and the palace should be a projection from another space. Relying on the Chilling Mountain to create an illusory space, this is a trick that only a Star-Lord can do. Could it be that there is a Star-Lord's relic in the Chilling Mountain? Zhang Qing's face was full of shock. A Star-Lord's relic was enough to shock the entire Crimson East region. Chapter 40-29. The Crimson East region was a small region of the Crimson Cloud star boundary. Let alone a Star-Lord, there were only a few heavenly source experts in the entire Crimson Cloud star boundary. Therefore, if a Star-Lord level ruin appeared in the Crimson East region, it would definitely shake the entire region. The Star-Lord level, as the name suggested, was the master of a star. Only those who had reached this level could be considered a true superior, a realm above the heavenly source stage. There was no such expert in the Crimson Cloud star boundary. Even the Star-Lord was a rare existence in the entire Crimson Cloud star boundary. It was only possible to see a Star-Lord in the Crimson Cloud star boundary. How rare! I don't think a Star-Lord's ruin has appeared in the Crimson East region before. This is indeed a big deal. Han Dong sighed. There's nothing special about the Star-Lord's ruin just from the aura alone. Why would there be a beast tide? Or is someone doing it on purpose? Jiang Chen knitted his brows. He was almost certain that the beast tides that had appeared everywhere in the Crimson Ridge Mountain were related to the Star-Lord's ruin. However, there was one thing that Jiang Chen did not understand. Even the appearance of a great ruin shouldn't have triggered a beast tide. Moreover, these demonic beasts were crazier than the last. They had clearly been infected and wanted to leave the Crimson Ridge Mountain as soon as possible. What did the appearance of the Star-Lord's ruin have to do with the demonic beasts? Why did they want to clear out the demonic beasts in the Crimson Ridge Mountain? Jiang Chen could not understand, but he felt that there must be a problem. The appearance of the Star-Lord's ruin will definitely shake the entire Crimson East region. If I'm not wrong, the Martial Pavilion, Divine Martial City, and the Feather Clan should all be alarmed. It won't be long before the experts of the two clans arrive. Xueqi said. The Crimson East region is a gathering of experts. I wonder how many people will be attracted by the appearance of the Star-Lord's ruin. Zhang Qing said. In fact, just as Xueqi and Zhang Qing had expected, the Martial Pavilion and Divine Martial City were already in an uproar. A heavenly source expert could be the first to know about any major event in the Crimson East region. In the main hall of the Martial Pavilion, Sect Master Wu Changtian, 2 Pavilion Masters, and 7 or 8 Heavenly Source Elders gathered together. A worldly anomaly has appeared in the Chilling Mountain. It's confirmed that a Star-Lord's relic has appeared. Let's go check it out. Wu Changtian's aura was like a rainbow. As the Martial Pavilion sect leader, a figure who held the highest position among the humans in the Crimson East region, he had no choice but to pay attention to the incident at Crimson Ridge Mountain. The others nodded their heads one after another. A few Heavenly Source stage experts disappeared in the blink of an eye, exiting the Martial Pavilion in the next instant. Star-Lord level ruins were peerless treasures. Let alone fusion origin experts. Even heavenly source experts were extremely attracted to them. If they could enter the Star-Lord ruins, they might be able to obtain a rare fortuitous encounter. At the same time, the Divine Martial City's City Lord, Xie Yunpeng, and the Yun clan chief, Yun Sinan, also left Divine Martial City and headed in the direction of Crimson Ridge Mountain. Scarlet Ridge Mountain had become the focal point of the Crimson East region, attracting a large number of heavenly source experts from the entire region. If it was a ruin left behind by a heavenly source expert, it might not have attracted them, but it was a different story if it was a Star-Lord. Heavenly Feather Mountain. Harpy Territory. Patriarch, everything has been prepared. The Star-Lord ruins have opened according to our plan. If nothing unexpected happens, the experts of the human race should be heading for Crimson Ridge Mountain by now. An expert from the Harpy race said with a smile. His words and expression were filled with the smell of conspiracy. All right, let's set off as well. Everything will proceed according to the original plan. Zhao Lingxiao's eyes shone brightly. His entire body gave off a domineering aura. Under Zhao Lingxiao's lead, the heavenly source experts of the Harpy race left Heavenly Feather Mountain and headed for Crimson Ridge Mountain. The gathering of the winds and clouds was a major event of the entire Crimson East region. Practically all the experts of the human race and the Harpy race were involved. Such a major event was extremely rare in the Crimson East region. No matter what happened at Crimson Ridge Mountain today, such a major event would most likely be recorded in the history of the Crimson East region. At the center of Crimson Ridge Mountain was a large river that traversed across the mountain range. When Jiang Chen and the others arrived, there were at least 100 winged people gathered there. They were all geniuses of the Harpy race's younger generation. Aside from the winged people, there were also quite a few humans. However, many of these youths seemed to be in a rather sorry state. Evidently, they had been attacked by the beast tide. Most of the young geniuses were from the Martial Pavilion. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the illusory palace above the river. It could be seen that in front of the palace, there was an illusory door that was gradually solidifying. This was probably the most harmonious time that the human race and the Harpy race had ever been together. No large-scale battle had erupted. Perhaps everyone had the same idea. They did not want the unopened Star-Lord's ruins to be closed because of the shockwaves of battle. After all, the Star-Lord's ruins were rarely seen even in 10,000 years. It was rare for it to appear, so no one would not be interested in it. The ruins have not truly opened yet. That illusory door that just appeared should be a passage into the ruins. The Star-Lord's ruins. There must be a great opportunity inside. If I can obtain the inheritance of a Star-Lord, my future achievements will be limitless. Stop daydreaming. Hurry up and wake up. Star-Lord's inheritance? Why don't you take a look at yourself first? The attraction of the Star-Lord's ruins was too great. There was no one who did not want to go in and have a look. There had never been a Star-Lord in the entire Crimson East region. For the people of the Crimson East region, the Star-Lord was just a belief, a true reverence. All the young geniuses of the Crimson East region had always dreamed of reaching the Heavenly Source stage. Reaching the Heavenly Source stage meant standing at the peak of the world, at the top of the pyramid of the Crimson East region. As for the Star-Lord, it was unthinkable. Now, they did not even dare to think about it. The Star-Lord's ruins that only existed in the legends had appeared before them. It was impossible for them to face it calmly. Whoosh whoosh. Strong winds whistled as powerful presences appeared from two different directions at the same time, rushing over at the fastest speed possible. In the blink of an eye, the experts of the human race and the winged race had all arrived. Dozens of heavenly source experts floated above the river, occupying two sides. Father! Xie Ting shouted towards the sky. Xie Yunpeng lowered his head to look at Xie Ting. When he saw the changes in Xie Ting's cultivation, his eyes could not help lighting up. He smiled at Xie Ting, but did not reply. It was extremely solemn to look at the experts of the winged race. At the very least, he could not lose his imposing manner. The experts are all here. They're all heavenly source experts. I wonder if I'll ever have the chance to reach that level in my lifetime. Chapter 40-30. The master of our martial pavilion, Wu Chongtian, the pavilion master of the Purple Pill Pavilion, Dan Qingzi, and the pavilion master of the Everlasting Pavilion, Zhen Yang, have all come. The attraction of the Star-Lord's ruins is truly great, said Han Dong. Of course. The Star-Lord's ruins are extremely attractive even to Heavenly Source experts. Not to mention that even the experts of the Feather Clan have come. If the experts of our human race don't come, we'll be at a great disadvantage, said another person. Of course. Wu Changtian, Xie Yunpeng, Dan Qingzi, and Zhen Yang were all first-rate experts of the Crimson East region, but they were only at the early Heavenly Source stage. Aside from Wu Changtian and Xie Yunpeng, who were at the second Heavenly Source stage, the others were at the first Heavenly Source stage. The Feather Clan was the same. The strength of their upper echelon was similar to that of the human race. This was enough to show the overall situation of the Crimson East region. The Heavenly Source stage was already the peak of the Crimson East region, and there were very few Heavenly Source experts. There weren't even any intermediate Heavenly Source experts. Almost all the experts of the Crimson East region had gathered here today. Jiang Chen could be considered to have achieved his goal in the Crimson East region. Standing at the peak of the Crimson East region was not as difficult as he had imagined. Brother Wu, Brother Xie, how have you been? The patriarch of the Feather Clan, Zhao Lingxiao, stood against the wind and clasped his fists towards Wu Changtian and Xie Yunpeng with a smile. Thanks to Brother Zhao, I'm still alive and well, said Wu Changtian. Wu Changtian said in a clear voice. The two of them were chatting with each other. Those who did not know would think that they were good friends who had been separated for many years. No matter how one looked at them, they would not be able to tell that they were two people who wanted to kill each other even in their dreams. Now that the Star-Lord's ruins have appeared, what do the two of you think? Asked Zhao Lingxiao. Treasures of the world belong to those who are capable. You should know this, Zhao Lingxiao. When the ruins open, everyone will enter based on their own ability and obtain the benefits inside, said Xie Yunpeng. He was a straightforward person, so when he spoke to Zhao Lingxiao, he wasn't polite at all. Instead, he wanted to challenge Zhao Lingxiao. What a great saying. However, Xie Yunpeng, could it be that you haven't discovered that this Star-Lord remnant isn't as simple as it seems to be? Zhao Lingxiao said, the deeper parts of the Star-Lord's ruin haven't been opened yet. Only the outer parts of the ruin have been opened. With our cultivation, this outer part doesn't seem to be attractive, right? As soon as Zhao Lingxiao finished speaking, Wu Changtian and Xie Yunpeng turned their attention to the illusory door of the Star-Lord's ruins. With their eyesight and perception, they could naturally sense what Zhao Lingxiao was saying. Brother Wu, what that fellow said is correct. It seems that the deep layer of the remnant has yet to open. Xie Yunpeng said. Zhao Lingxiao is cunning. Let's see what he has to say. Wu Zhangtian said. At this moment, Jiang Chen knitted his brows. In fact, he did not sense the deeper parts of the Star-Lord's ruins. He only saw that the ruins were flashy and impractical. The so-called deeper layers of the ruins were probably man-made. However, Jiang Chen did not say anything. He was well aware of his current status. He was just a disciple of the Martial Pavilion, a Unity Origin Realm shrimp. Even if he stood up and said something, no one would take his words seriously. They would only think that he was talking nonsense. After all, in the eyes of the Heavenly Source experts, a mere Unity Origin Realm disciple could not understand anything. In the Scarlet East region, the Feather Race and the Human Race have been fighting endlessly. Since the Star-Lord's ruins have appeared, as the masters of the Scarlet East region, we should make good use of this opportunity. Now that the outer layer of the ruins has been opened, in my opinion, this is a great opportunity for the younger generation of the two races to train. I feel that the outer layer of the ruins is the most suitable place for the Unity Origin Realm disciples to train. Zhao Lingxiao said, now that the structure of the ruins is very clear, I'm afraid that the inner layer will be opened one by one. When the outer layer is finished, the inner layer will be opened. At that time, us old guys can go in and look for opportunities. The outer layer of the ruins can be used as a training ground for the disciples below. What do you think, Brother Wu? Your Martial Pavilion has many talented disciples, so I believe that you won't be afraid of the geniuses of the Feather Race. Zhao Lingxiao's words were very clear. He wanted to use the outer layer of the ruins to provide a battlefield for the younger generation of the Human Race and the Feather Race to fight among themselves. There must be a conspiracy. Jiang Chen frowned even more. He had been watching Zhao Lingxiao as he spoke. When Zhao Lingxiao gave his opinion, it was as if everything was under his control. It was as if he had a very good understanding of the Star-Lord's ruins. It felt as if he, Zhao Lingxiao, had purposely set up these ruins. Although Zhao Lingxiao hid it well and spoke in a righteous manner, Who was Jiang Chen? In front of him, even the slightest change could be seen clearly. Moreover, Zhao Lingxiao's move was very good. He suggested that the geniuses of the two races train together. Wu Changtian had no reason to reject it. If he rejected it, it would mean that he was afraid of the feather race. This was related to the dignity of the entire race, so there was no way that they could compromise. Wu Changtian could not reject it, and none of the genius disciples of the martial pavilion was willing to back down. After all, the geniuses of the human race and the feather race had been fighting for a long time. As long as they met, it would be either you or I who would die. If they did not dare to enter the ruins to train together, how would the geniuses of the human race be able to raise their heads when they met the feather race in the future? Sect leader, Zhao Lingxiao is so confident. Could he be plotting something? Dan Qingzi said. As the pavilion master of the Purple Pill Pavilion, Dan Qingzi's thoughts were the most meticulous in the martial pavilion. There's no problem with the Star Lord's ruins, and Zhao Lingxiao can't play any tricks. Moreover, he suggested that the disciples go in to train, so we have no reason to reject him. If we reject him, where would we put our faces? Even the disciples of the martial pavilion would not be willing. Wu Changtian said. Brother Wu, we can agree. This is a rare opportunity for the disciples of the human race. However, I have a suggestion. Xie Yunping said. What suggestion? Wu Changtian said. The Unity Origin Realm cultivators of the human race are unable to fly, so they have no advantage over the feather race. I suggest that we choose a few genius disciples of the first heavenly layer of the Earth Source realm to bring them along. Once they enter the ruins, not only will they be able to take care of each other, but Earth Source experts will also weaken the advantage of the feather race. We can choose a few people who specialize in speed to intimidate the disciples of the feather race. Xie Yunping said. Yes, Brother Xie's words make sense. This is indeed a great opportunity to train the disciples of the younger generation. Most of the disciples of the martial pavilion live like princes, so they lack this kind of training the most. If there are geniuses of the Earth Source realm leading them, I will be at ease. Chapter 40-31. Brother Wu, what do you think of my suggestion? Zhao Lingxiao asked. Not a bad suggestion. This is indeed a great opportunity for the young disciples to train. However, the Yu clan has the advantage of flying, so we need an earthly source disciple to lead the team. Wu Changtian said. No problem. If that's the case, we'll each send 3 first heavenly layer earth source disciples to lead the team into the ruins. This way, Brother Wu should have no more doubts, right? Zhao Lingxiao agreed without any hesitation. It didn't matter to him, since both sides had earthly source disciples. More importantly, Wu Changtian's condition was reasonable. Zhao Lingxiao had no reason to reject it. If he didn't agree, it would seem like there was something fishy going on. All right. Wu Changtian nodded. The outer layer of the Star Lord's ruins was settled. Great, my chance has come. Entering the Star Lord's ruins is my fortune. As long as I get some benefits, it will be boundless. I'm just too lucky to be able to enter the ruins of the Star Lord in my lifetime. I definitely can't let this great opportunity go to waste. If I make use of it, it's very likely that my cultivation will break through to the Earth Source realm when I come out of the ruins. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I must go in and have a look. I still need to kill some Yu clan people. The more I kill, the more rewards I'll get. The disciples of the martial pavilion were excited. Not just them, the geniuses of the Yu clan were the same. For Unity Origin experts like them, the Star Lord was too far away from them. Now, they had the opportunity to enter the Star Lord's remnant to gain experience. This was simply an opportunity given to them by the heavens. No one was willing to miss this opportunity. Everyone fantasized about being able to display their skills in the Star Lord's remnant and obtain the benefits that they wanted. Their cultivation base would improve greatly and their fame would spread far and wide. There were even more people who dreamed of obtaining the inheritance of the Star Lord. If that was the case, they would soar into the sky and stand above everyone else. Little Chenzi, there's something wrong with that guy from the Yu clan. De Huangdog said in a low voice. You've noticed it too. A smile appeared on Jiang Chen's face. There was definitely something wrong with Zhao Lingxiao. Wu Changtian and Xie Yunpeng had both fallen into the other's trap. When the Star Lord historical remnant appeared, The genius disciples of the human race and the fiend race went to train. Why did they chase away all the demonic beasts here? Entering the historical remnant to train had nothing to do with the demonic beasts. There was only one explanation, and that was that they were afraid of the demonic beasts. Jiang Chen did not believe that the demonic beasts had left the Qiliang mountain because of the relic. Up until now, Zhao Lingxiao had been strategizing and everything was under his control. Deep in his eyes, there was a gleam of pride. This gleam was well concealed, but it could not escape Jiang Chen's perception. Should I expose him? De Huang Dog said. Do you have any proof? Jiang Chen glared at De Huang. Our cultivation base is low, so no one will listen to us. Even heavenly source experts can't see through it, but the two of us can see through it. How can heavenly source experts keep their faces? Besides, I don't want to expose him right now. I want to see what this Yu clan leader has up his sleeves. Don't you think that entering the Star-Lore historical remnant will be a very interesting thing? Kaka, you're full of evil tricks, but you're right. We're not afraid of the Yu clan's conspiracy. I also want to see what these birdmen are up to. The more they are up to something, the more interesting the Star-Lore historical remnant will be. Otherwise, it'll be too monotonous. De Huang Dog shook his head. He was extremely excited. He was someone who craved for the world to be in chaos. The more chaotic and dangerous it was, the more excited he was. Moreover, just like what Jiang Chen had said, even if he and De Huang Dog could see through it, no one would believe them. Their strength was too low. If they claimed that they could see through something that even heavenly source experts couldn't, wouldn't that be slapping heavenly source experts in the face? Moreover, Jiang Chen really didn't know what the Yu clan's conspiracy was. Without any proof, there was nothing he could say. Brother Wu, I think there's still one more day before the entrance of the historical remnant completely appears. We have 1 day to prepare. Let's go back and choose our disciples. Zhao Lingxiao said. All right. Wu Changtian nodded. The group of heavenly source experts came quickly and left even faster. Since the matter had been discussed, the next step was to prepare the manpower. Within the Martial Pavilion and Shenwu City, almost all the Unity Origin experts of the younger generation had gathered. This news was too shocking. No one was willing to miss such a great opportunity. The Martial Pavilion had chosen 3 first Heavenly Layer Earth Source geniuses from the Inner Pavilion. Earthly Source Realm geniuses rarely appeared in the Martial Pavilion. They were mostly out training or cultivating in seclusion. Young Earthly Source Realm disciples were the focus of the Martial Pavilion's nurturing. They were the foundation of the human race. The 3 of them were 2 men and 1 woman. They were Ji Tian, Li Long, and Ye Xiaoying. The 3 of them were experts who specialized in speed. They had a unique advantage when dealing with the Yu clan. The 3 of them were very happy to lead the team into the Star-Lord's historical remnant. Anyone would be happy to do such a thing. The Star-Lord's historical remnant was worth visiting even if it was only the outer region. Who wouldn't want to see it? The other Earth Source geniuses in the Martial Pavilion were very envious. If they had the chance, they would definitely go there without a care for their own safety. The next day, the experts of the Martial Pavilion drove 5 or 6 large airships. They brought thousands of young geniuses from the Shenwu City and set off for the Qiliang Mountain. There were at least 3,000 Unity Origin geniuses participating this time. Within the Divine Martial City and the Martial Pavilion, as long as they met the requirements, they could register and participate. It was a grand event in the Qidong region. The Yu clan had fewer people than the human race, at least a third less. Although the Yu clan was a big clan in the Qidong region, they were still fewer than the human race in terms of numbers. Of course, the overall strength of the Yu clan was still very strong. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to resist the human race for so many years. At the center of the Qiliang Mountain, on both sides of the river, the human race's airships hovered in the air. They were densely packed with disciples. On the other side, more than 2,000 young geniuses of the Yu clan flapped their wings and hovered in the air. Their faces were filled with pride and battle intent. With such a strong lineup, it seemed like a war was about to begin. Chapter 40-32. The 2 sides were already in a state of mutual hostility even before the ruins were opened. Thousands of disciples were bursting with fighting intent, forming 2 monstrous fighting intents in the sky. Li Long, we didn't have a clear winner in the last battle. This time, I'll definitely kill you in the ruins. On the side of the Feather Clan, A young man pointed at Li Long on the side of the human race. Who is he? He's so arrogant. We're both at the first heavenly layer of the Earth Source realm, but there aren't many who dare to say they'll kill senior brother Li Long. He's called Zhao Chenkuan, the 6th young master of the Feather Clan. His strength can't be underestimated. I know him. The young masters of the Feather Clan are all arrogant. The 6th young master and senior brother Li Long are old enemies. They've fought at least 5 or 6 times, and they've always been evenly matched. This time, Li Long will lead the human race, while the 6th young master will lead the Feather Clan into the ruins. It's inevitable that he'll have a bloody battle with senior brother Li Long. The 6th young master of the Feather Clan was also a famous genius of the Earth Source realm. In the Feather Clan, he was one of the best in both status and identity. Zhao Lingxiao had a total of 9 sons. The 9th young master had already died in the hands of Jiang Chen, so there were only 8 left. Jiang Chen looked at the 6th young master with a smile. This time, the young master Lu of the Feather Clan would probably lose his life again. Jiang Chen would kill every single one of Zhao Lingxiao's sons he encountered. Sooner or later, Zhao Lingxiao would become a loner. Do you have the strength to kill me? Li Long crossed his arms in front of his chest, looking extremely arrogant. His fighting intent was not concealed at all. As the leader of the human clan this time, it was impossible for him to lose his momentum. Moreover, he was not afraid of Zhao Chenkuan at all. Moreover, Li Long also knew that it was extremely difficult for him and Zhao Chenkuan to kill each other. After a few battles, he had a very clear understanding of the opponent. In this case, unless one of them had reached the 2nd heavenly layer of the Earth Source realm or had a very terrifying trump card, it would be too difficult to kill the opponent. Look at Zhao Chenkuan's side. It seems to be the 8th and 9th young masters of the Feather Clan. They're both very powerful. They've already reached the 9th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. They're only a step away from the Earth Source realm. Yes, I have to say that the young masters of the Feather Clan are each more powerful than the previous one. Except for the 9th young master, I heard that Zhao Chenkuan's elder brothers are even more powerful. They are all earthly source realm experts. So what? There are many geniuses in our martial pavilion. If we were to really fight, there's no need to be afraid of them. This time, I've prepared sufficient flight talismans. I'm determined to fight to the death with the winged race. When the time comes, I'll rip off a few pairs of wings from the winged race and bring them back to the martial pavilion to exchange for rewards. The disciples of the martial pavilion were all proud and arrogant. Even though the aura of the Feather Clan was strong, they were not the least bit afraid. Instead, they were full of anticipation for this trip to the ruins. No one was not excited. The disciples of both sides behaved the same way. All the eyes of the Feather Clan were on Li Long, Ji Tian, and Ye Xiaoying, but they were not afraid. The martial pavilion had earthly source realm experts. So did the Feather Clan. Unfortunately, the Feather Clan paid attention to the wrong people. What they should really pay attention to was not the 3 geniuses of the earthly source realm, but a white-clothed young man who seemed to be only at the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm, Jiang Chen. For all the genius disciples of the Feather Clan, Jiang Chen was undoubtedly the most dangerous one. Even such a big plan of the Feather Clan would be ruined by Jiang Chen in the end. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to Jiang Chen. Even Zhao Lingxiao would not pay attention to a disciple of the martial pavilion at the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm at this time. Buzz, above the sky, the illusory gate began to gradually solidify. In the end, with an earth-shaking roar, it turned into a huge gate of the void. The ruins of the Star-Lord are open. I'm so excited. I want to be the first to go in. I want to snatch the benefits. Both the Feather Clan and the geniuses of the human race were extremely excited at this moment. The ruins of the Star-Lord were something they did not even dare to dream about in their lives. Now that the gate of the ruins had opened and was right in front of them, they could not help but be excited. Brother Wu, the gate of the ruins is open. Let's let the disciples go in. Zhao Lingxiao said. Okay. Wu Changtian did not doubt him. With a wave of his hand, Li Long took the lead and jumped into the gate of the void. Split into 3 groups, each person will lead a team. Let's go into the space of the ruins first. Li Long yelled. A large number of disciples of the martial pavilion followed behind Li Long and jumped into the gate of the void. There were 3 groups, and each group had about 1,000 people. In the group, they would be divided into smaller groups. In order to avoid any accidents, Li Long, Ji Tian, and Ye Xiaoying would go in as a group first. Because the gate of the void was relatively large, the speed at which people entered was relatively fast. In almost the blink of an eye, the group entered. Soon, Ji Tian led a team into the space of the ruins. Then it was Nie Xiaoying. Nie Xiaoying's figure was mysterious and graceful. She wore a long red dress, and her eyebrows were full of infinite charm. She was a beauty of the martial pavilion and was the dream lover of many male disciples in the martial pavilion. However, she was also a rose with thorns, arrogant, cold, and kept people thousands of miles away. "Teacher, let's go in too," Xueqi said. "Okay." Jiang Chen nodded. Without any hesitation, everyone followed behind Nie Xiaoying's group and entered the space of the Star Lord. The genius disciples of the human clan had all entered. The feather clan also began to move. Under the leadership of the sixth young master, a large number of feather clan disciples flapped their wide wings and entered the gate of the void. Soon, all the geniuses of the feather clan had entered. The sky above the chaotic river became quiet again. After a while, the gate of the void disappeared, but the illusory palace was still there, indicating that the opening of the Star Lord's ruins had just begun. "Brother Wu, the outer layer of the Star Lord's ruins will probably be open for 3 days. 3 days later, the gate of the void will open again. At that time the deep space will open, and it will be our turn to go in and have a look." Zhao Lingxiao said. "Come back in 3 days." Wu Chongtian did not want to talk too much with Zhao Lingxiao. He was afraid that a few words would cause a fight. Thus, he decided to leave. Out of sight, out of mind. Wu Chongtian, Xie Yunpeng, and the other experts left. They would return in 3 days. They wanted to see the results of the training of the human clan disciples. Moreover, they were very interested in the Star Lord's ruins. Looking at the back of Wu Chongtian and the others, Zhao Lingxiao's eyes turned sinister. According to the plan, none of the geniuses that entered the Star Lord's ruins can be released. Chapter 40-33. Rest assured, clan leader. Everything has been arranged. An elder of the winged clan sneered. Within the Star Lord's space, it was a completely different world. Under the lead of Nie Xiaoying, Jiang Chen and the rest landed on a piece of wilderness. Thousands of people landed at the same time. It was quite a large scale. Within the space, there was fog everywhere. The cold fog was bone-chilling, giving people an extremely uncomfortable feeling. It's just wilderness within 100 miles. It looks like there's nothing here. It's all fog. This place is too gloomy. It's completely different from the Star Lord's ruins I imagined. Damn it. I thought the Star Lord's ruins would be filled with treasures. At the very least, there would be earth source stones. Why would it be such a desolate place? This is so disappointing. As the saying goes, the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. Just like the disciples of the martial pavilion, each and every one of them was utterly disappointed. The environment here was completely different from the Star Lord's ruins they had imagined. Everyone, calm down and be careful. There might be changes at any time in the Star Lord's ruins. I can already smell a dangerous aura. Nie Xiaoying shouted coldly. The originally restless crowd quietened down after being reprimanded by Nie Xiaoying. No one dared to be disrespectful towards this beautiful senior sister Nie. Moreover, Nie Xiaoying was the leader this time. Once they were out of the martial pavilion, they had to obey the leader absolutely. Jiang Chen nodded to himself. This Nie Xiaoying did have some tricks up her sleeves. At least she could tell that this place wasn't ordinary and could sense the dangerous aura. Jiang Chen and a Huang dog looked at each other. They had seen everything clearly from the moment they stepped in. At the same time, they finally understood the big conspiracy of the winged clan. Just at this moment, a shrill scream suddenly rang out. It was a scream that made one's hair stand on end. Everyone looked in the direction of the scream and saw a disciple of the martial pavilion with a huge hole in his chest. Fresh blood spurted out wildly. He had already died a horrible death. What's going on? What happened? How could it be so strange? I saw a winged man suddenly appear and disappear. Everyone, be careful. They can turn invisible. The disciples of the martial pavilion were completely agitated. The sudden death had caused everyone's hearts to sink to the bottom. As soon as he finished speaking, another miserable shriek rang out. Just like the previous disciple, another disciple died miserably. A large hole was dug out of his chest. This time, someone clearly saw a winged person make a move. After killing a disciple with a sneak attack, the winged person disappeared in an instant. This scene caused everyone's hair to stand on end. What was going on? The feather race had the advantage in the first place, and they could even conceal themselves now. If the feather race were to launch a sneak attack, then the people from the martial pavilion could only stretch out their necks and wait to be slaughtered. Ha ha ha, friends from the martial pavilion, welcome to hell. This is heaven for us winged people. From now on, slowly experience the taste of death. A maniacal laughter rang out. It was the voice of the feather race, and it echoed throughout the entire wilderness. The faces of the people from the martial pavilion turned pale. They looked around, but they could not see anyone at all. It was just wilderness all around them, and there was not even a shadow of the feather race. Acting all mysterious. If you have the guts, come out and fight me. Xueqi shouted. Ha ha ha, the maniacal laughter of the feather race could be heard everywhere. Every voice was like a musical note that hastened death. Whoosh! A cold light suddenly appeared beside Jiang Chen. Obviously, Jiang Chen had become the next target of a sneak attack. However, this kind of camouflage was still far from being enough to launch a sneak attack on Jiang Chen. Almost at the same time that the feather race launched a sneak attack, Jiang Chen made his move. His attack was precise, and he grabbed the feather race from the void. Crack! Jiang Chen grabbed the head of the feather race and crushed it with a bang. This scene was seen by many people, and they could not help but look at Jiang Chen with admiration. To be able to kill the feather race under such circumstances, just this move alone was worthy of admiration. It's Jiang Chen. He is Jiang Chen. Yes, the famous Jiang Chen of the bestial battle arena is indeed powerful. However, what is going on with the feather race? We seem to have been tricked. What should we do? What should we do now? We can't see the feather race at all. Everyone was panicking. While they were talking, another 2 disciples were killed in a sneak attack. If this situation continued, the people of the martial pavilion would be killed sooner or later. Now, the disciples of the martial pavilion had undoubtedly become the targets of the feather race. They wanted the people of the martial pavilion to taste the taste of death bit by bit, and finally die in despair. Teacher, what is going on? Xueqi looked at Jiang Chen and could not help but ask. We have fallen into the feather race's trap. What starry master space? This is simply a big conspiracy of the feather race. Jiang Chen said. Big conspiracy? What is going on? Isn't it the starry master space? How did it become a big conspiracy? If it is a conspiracy, why can't the sect leader see it? Senior brother Jiang Chen, tell us quickly. What is going on? Everyone looked at Jiang Chen. At this time, Jiang Chen had undoubtedly become the focus. Jiang Chen, what did you see? Xueqi looked at Jiang Chen. She had never seen Jiang Chen before, but she had heard of the name Jiang Chen. After all, he was a legend of the bestial battle arena. He had killed a 3-eyed panther 3 levels above him. It was hard not to know him. After we entered this space, we fell into a trap set by the feather race in advance. We are currently in a formation called the 8 Gates Maze Formation. The 8 Gates Maze Formation has a total of 8 gates. They can support each other or exist independently. If my guess is correct, there are currently 8 such formations in the entire starry master space. Jiang Chen said, the 8 Gates Maze Formation is a trapping formation with a hallucinatory effect. The things people see inside are all illusions. For example, this wilderness is an illusion. Now, we are surrounded by experts of the feather race. They have locked onto us and are treating us as prey to play with. The real starry master space has already been plundered by the feather race. In turn, the feather race has used the starry master space to set up a big conspiracy. They want all the young geniuses of the human race to die here, thus cutting off the hope of the human race. As soon as Jiang Chen said this, the crowd was in an uproar. Everyone's face became incomparably ugly. They started to look around, shivering because they didn't know if there were any feather race around them. The feather race could see them, but they couldn't see the feather race. I know. No wonder there was a beast tied before. It was also the feather race's doing. They drove away all the beasts, afraid that they would affect their plan. This time, we have more than 3,000 people here. All of them are geniuses of the young generation. If we all die here, it will be a great loss to the human race. The feather race wants to destroy the future of the human race. In this case, the human race will perish in less than 100 years. Xueqi said while gritting his teeth. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but clench his fists tightly. Chapter 40-34. The atmosphere became extremely oppressive, and an endless aura of danger permeated the surroundings of the disciples of the Martial Pavilion. This was just one of the main groups, and the situation was just as Jiang Chen had predicted. The other two main groups were all trapped in the Eight Gates maze formation, and all the disciples fell into a panic. Damn it, the feather race is too sinister. They actually thought of such a method to confuse us. The so-called Star Lord's ruins is just a cover. What should we do now? We can't just sit here and wait for death. Where are the disciples of the Everlasting Pavilion? Is there any disciple of the Everlasting Pavilion? Let's see if they can break this Eight Gates maze formation. Yes, the disciples of the Everlasting Pavilion will come in handy now. As long as we break this formation, we can fight to the death with those birdmen. At this time, the disciples of the Everlasting Pavilion became popular. After all, among them, only the disciples of the Everlasting Pavilion were proficient in formations. At this time, several disciples of the Everlasting Pavilion stood up, but every one of them had a worried look on their faces. This formation is probably set up by a heavenly source expert, and the Eight Gates maze formation is extremely complicated. With our current level, it's impossible to break this formation. One of them said, his face full of frustration. Miserable screams rang out again. In the blink of an eye, 3 disciples of the Martial Pavilion were killed by a sneak attack. The disciples of the Everlasting Pavilion could not break the formation, which was equivalent to destroying the last dream and hope of the disciples of the Martial Pavilion. Now that people were continuously being killed, the hearts of the disciples of the Martial Pavilion were in a state of collapse. Some of them had already gone crazy and shouted. Originally, they thought it was a great opportunity. After all, they could come to the Star Lord's ruins to train. Almost everyone came with endless fantasies, but the reality was so cruel. What they entered was not a paradise for cultivation, but hell, a hell filled with demons. Everyone, don't panic. The feather race wants to see us panic. Let's work together. It won't be easy for the feather race to kill us directly. Xueqi said loudly. At this time, she, as the captain, had to set an example. But in reality, the depths of Xueqi's eyes were filled with panic. Although she was an earthly source expert and a genius of the Martial Pavilion, she had too little experience, let alone a situation like this. Jiang Chen smiled. He knew that Xueqi was panicking now, but she was pretending to be calm. Jiang Chen was more concerned about Xueqi. After all, if she, the captain, panicked, then the others would instantly lose their backbone. Then, the remaining people in the Martial Pavilion could only wait for death. I can break the formation, Jiang Chen said. As soon as these words were spoken, all the disciples of the Martial Pavilion became restless once again. In unison, all of their gazes landed on Jiang Chen. Can you really break the formation? Xueqi looked at Jiang Chen and asked doubtfully. It was no wonder that Xueqi was doubtful. After all, Jiang Chen's cultivation was too weak. He was only at the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm. Even if he had extraordinary talent, how strong could his strength be? She naturally did not believe that a 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin realm could break the formation of a heavenly source expert. However, everyone still held some hope in their hearts, because the person who spoke was Jiang Chen. He was a person who was good at creating miracles. Moreover, Jiang Chen could see through the 8 Gates maze formation at a glance, which at least meant that he was familiar with formations. It must be known that the genius formation disciples of the Everlasting Pavilion could not even see through the 8 Gates maze formation. I can break the formation, but it will take some time. It won't be too long. In order to reduce everyone's losses, listen to me. Jiang Chen said. All right, we'll listen to you. Xueqi said without even thinking. Not only her, but the others also did the same, because there was nothing they could do other than believe in Jiang Chen. Facing the terrifying 8 Gates maze formation, even Xueqi was helpless. It's possible. Senior brother Jiang can definitely break the formation. There's no one else in the Martial Pavilion who can match his attainments in formations. A disciple of the Everlasting Pavilion suddenly said excitedly. He had been anxious before, so he did not think about it. When he was in the Everlasting Pavilion, he had been personally guided by Jiang Chen. Even the Grand Elder of the Everlasting Pavilion had been guided by Jiang Chen, so he could only be described as admiration for Jiang Chen's formation techniques. Those who had not seen Jiang Chen in action would never imagine how terrifying Jiang Chen was. This disciple had seen Jiang Chen break the formation, so he had even more reason to believe that there was no one else who could break the formation that the feather race had painstakingly laid down other than Jiang Chen. What? Isn't Jiang Chen a disciple of the Purple Pill Pavilion? Does he know formations too? Even the disciple of the Everlasting Pavilion said so. How can it be false? This guy is really heaven-defying. Let's not talk so much. Let's listen to Jiang Chen. We'll do whatever he wants us to do. Besides, we can't do anything else besides listening to his arrangements. After the disciple of the Everlasting Pavilion spoke, everyone's hope was rekindled. Jiang Chen, the legend of the beast-fighting Colosseum, had become their only hope. De Huang, you set up a formation within a formation. Defend against the sneak attack of the feather race. I'll break the 8 Gates Maze formation. Jiang Chen said to De Huang Dog. All right. De Huang Dog's body swayed and floated above the wilderness. He kept drawing with his paws, and a complicated formation began to appear in the void. This dog knows formations too? Someone was surprised. More than that, he's a monster of our Everlasting Pavilion. To be honest, not long ago, De Huang Dog set up a formation in the Everlasting Pavilion, trapping all the disciples and elders. Even the Grand Elder at the peak of the Earth Source realm couldn't break it. In the end, we had to ask Jiang Chen to break it. The disciple of the Everlasting Pavilion said helplessly. This was an extremely shameful thing for the Everlasting Pavilion, but it was the truth. He couldn't deny the strength of De Huang Dog, especially at this time. Damn it. You guys inject your strength into me. Master Dog will set up a defensive formation. De Huang Dog said. Everyone, listen up. Inject your strength into De Huang Dog's body. Nie Xiaoying ordered. No one dared to be negligent. The martial pavilion had never been so united at this moment. Rays of dazzling light shot out from them, all of which were injected into De Huang Dog's body. De Huang Dog let out a long howl towards the sky. A layer of defensive formation was formed in an instant, enveloping all the disciples of the martial pavilion. This was a formation within a formation. With the 8 Gates Maze formation as the foundation, a defensive formation was built on top of it. Chapter 40-35. Outside the 8 Gates Maze formation, hundreds of geniuses of the feather race wore mocking expressions as they prepared to massacre the people of the martial pavilion. However, when they saw the scene inside the formation, the leader could not help but frown. What's that dog doing? The leader was puzzled. Looks like it's trying to break the formation. A 9th layer Unity Origin Realm Featherman genius mocked. Break the formation? What a joke. The 8 Gates Maze formation was laid down by a dozen heavenly source experts of the feather race. A dog is dreaming if it thinks it can break the formation. The leader sneered. Unfortunately, he did not understand formations at all. If he did, he would definitely be able to see what De Huang Dog was doing and how miraculous De Huang Dog's technique was. Continue to torture them slowly. Kill these so-called geniuses of the human race bit by bit. Don't kill them too quickly. We have 3 days to play. If we kill them too quickly, we'll lose a lot of fun and let them live in endless fear. The 8th young master stood up and said. He held a folding fan in his hand and waved it in front of his chest as if he was watching a good show. Although the leader was an Earth Source expert at the first heavenly layer, he was standing beside the 8th young master. After all, the 8th young master was the son of the patriarch and had a high status in the feather race. Haha, I'll kill one first. A winged man burst into laughter. He could not hold it in any longer. A spear appeared in his hand, and he aimed at the chest of a disciple of the martial pavilion. This kind of sneak attack was silent. They could appear anywhere in the 8 Gates Maze formation. They could see the people of the martial pavilion, but the people of the martial pavilion could not see them. This kind of sneak attack was fatal. The people of the martial pavilion would definitely die. Bang! However, something unexpected happened. The winged person's spear suddenly collided with an illusory defensive barrier. Although the defensive barrier looked illusory, it was incomparably sturdy. The spear couldn't even shake the surface of the defensive barrier, let alone kill the person inside. What's going on? The winged man was shocked. Damn it, this dog is really capable. He actually laid down a defensive formation in the 8 gates maze formation. The 8th young master closed the folding fan in his hand and his face instantly turned gloomy. That's impossible. It's not that easy to create a formation within a formation. Moreover, it needs to be extremely proficient in the 8 gates maze formation. How did this dog do it? The wingman captain's expression also changed. It seems like this dog is very proficient in arrays. He has gathered the energy of all the disciples of the martial pavilion. They have all poured their energy into the defensive array. We can't break in. Damn it, I didn't expect the martial pavilion to have such a capable person. This dog is extraordinary. Kill this dog first. Everyone, listen up. Attack together and use brute force to break their defensive formation. I don't believe that a defensive formation laid down by a dog can be that powerful. The 8th young master shouted and gave the order. All the winged men were full of vigor and began to attack. They had originally wanted to wear down the fighting spirit of the disciples of the martial pavilion bit by bit, so that they could experience the taste of death and die in despair. They hadn't expected such a turn of events. Just in case, the feather race didn't waste any more time. As long as they could destroy De Huang Dog's defensive formation, they would still have the upper hand. Let me do it. The winged men captain made his move. With the strength of the Earth Source realm, he was extremely powerful and ferocious towards De Huang Dog. Rumble. Violent energy tumbled wantonly, causing the defensive formation to tremble violently. As the main target and the center of the attack, De Huang Dog suffered the greatest shock. Fortunately, his physical body was strong and his qi and blood were vigorous. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand such a shock. Fortunately, the disciples of the martial pavilion were more united at this moment. Moreover, their combined energy was incomparably huge. All the energy was used to support the defensive formation, causing it to be especially sturdy. At least, the feather race wouldn't be able to break it for a while. Little Chenzi, hurry up and break the formation. The winged men have begun to launch an all-out attack. The defensive formation won't last long. De Huang Dog urged. Although the defensive formation was powerful, the feather race was also very powerful. If the people of the martial pavilion hadn't worked together, De Huang Dog wouldn't have been able to withstand it alone. The people of the martial pavilion were working extremely hard. They could already see the capabilities of De Huang Dog, because the defensive formation had already withstood the attack of the winged men once. Now, it all depended on whether Jiang Chen could break the 8 gates maze formation. As long as the 8 gates maze formation was broken, they would immediately rush out and fight to the death with the winged men. It was too sullen. They were practically gritting their teeth. To the genius disciples of the martial pavilion, it was simply a humiliation to sit and wait for death to come. Very soon, Jiang Chen was calm and composed. He did not panic at all. Although the 8 gates maze formation was cast down by a heavenly source expert, it was not difficult for Jiang Chen to break it. After all, Jiang Chen's attainments in formations were just too high. The no-beginning formation was all-encompassing, so Jiang Chen had already grasped all the details of the 8 gates maze formation after a few simple changes. Afterwards, Jiang Chen began to cast out complicated restrictions. These restrictions were specially refined for the 8 gates maze formation. According to Jiang Chen's estimation, he would only need 3 minutes to break the 8 gates maze formation. Breaking the 8 gates maze formation cast down by over a dozen heavenly source experts in 3 minutes with a cultivation of the 5th heavenly layer of the Unity Origin stage was simply an astonishing feat. In fact, if Jiang Chen only focused on the 8 gates maze formation in front of him, he would not need 3 minutes at all. He could break it in 10 breaths. The reason why he needed 3 minutes was to find the connection between this formation and the other formations. In other words, if Jiang Chen broke this formation, all the formations in the entire Star-Lord space would be broken as well. There were a total of 8 gates in the 8 gates maze formation. Breaking one meant eliminating the other 8. In this way, not only would the crisis on their side be resolved, the crisis on Li Long and Ji Tian's side would also be resolved. Jiang Chen had to completely destroy the 8 gates maze formation. Otherwise, they would naturally be able to keep their lives, but Li Long and Ji Tian's side would really be finished. The two teams were constantly suffering losses, and people were dying all the time. The sooner the formation was broken, the sooner they could reduce their losses. Otherwise, once the formation was broken, It would take a long time for the winged people to deal with them, and the disciples of the other two teams of the martial pavilion would all be killed. Rumble. Under the leadership of the 8 young masters, the winged people attacked extremely violently. Their main goal now was to destroy the defensive formation of De Huang Dog. As long as the defensive formation was destroyed, the people of the martial pavilion would still be like turtles in a jar, unable to escape death. What a strong defensive formation. The leader of the winged people sighed, his face filled with shock. Humph. Continue attacking. I don't believe that the formation of this dog can be that strong. As long as we can't break the 8 gates maze formation, they will only have one end in the end, and that is death. Keep attacking and let them support the defensive formation. When their energy is exhausted, the defensive formation will break by itself. Chapter 40-36. In fact, at this moment, the leader of the winged men and the 8th prince were a little anxious. They did not expect De Huang Dog's defensive formation to be so powerful. After all, even if all the disciples of the martial pavilion worked together to channel energy into the formation, the defensive ability was still too strong. The only explanation was that Big Yellow's attainments in the knowledge of formations were terrifying. The foundation of the formation that he set up was relatively stable. That was why it had such a terrifying defensive ability. Rumble. The people of the Feather Clan went berserk. Each and every one of them tried their best to break the defensive formation of the martial pavilion as soon as possible. Within the formation, the disciples of the martial pavilion were sweating profusely. They did not dare to be careless. While they were trying their best to support the defensive formation, their eyes fell on Jiang Chen. At this moment, Jiang Chen was their only hope. Jiang Chen's hands moved in a dazzling manner, forming one after another seals. His movements were as smooth as the floating clouds and flowing water. His skillful movements gave people confidence. At this moment, on the other side, Li Long and Ji Tian's team began to suffer heavy losses. They did not have people as capable as De Huang Dog and Jiang Chen. They could not make a defensive formation, nor could they break the 8 gates maze formation. From time to time, disciples of the martial pavilion would be ambushed and killed. Almost everyone was in despair. Damn the Feather Clan. They deceived us all. Conspiracy. This is a big conspiracy. The so-called Star Lord's relic is just a trap. The Feather Clan wants to annihilate the human race. They won't give us a way out. We are trapped in the formation now. There is nothing we can do. We can only wait to be killed. The disciples of the martial pavilion were crazy. Their eyes were red, and their hearts were filled with endless despair. There was no way out at all. They had never seen this formation before, not to mention breaking it. Even their team leader, Li Long and Ji Tian, were helpless. They could only lead the disciples of the martial pavilion and hold on for dear life. However, they did not know how long they could hold on. Perhaps when they really could not hold on any longer, it would be the arrival of death. Time passed very quickly. However, to the disciples of the martial pavilion, every second felt like a year. The screams that were constantly accompanied were constantly stimulating their souls. On the other side, inside the 8 gates maze formation, Jiang Chen suddenly shouted. With a wave of his hand, a vast expanse of divine light shot out. At the same time, Jiang Chen shouted, De Huang, remove the defensive formation. Jiang Chen's aura was earth-shattering. As soon as he finished speaking, De Huang Dog immediately removed the defensive formation and retracted all the energy of the martial pavilion's disciples. At the same time, Jiang Chen's divine light landed on the 8 gates maze formation. The formation let out a series of explosions, and in the blink of an eye, it was completely destroyed by Jiang Chen. The destruction of the 8 gates maze formation also caused the strong supply from the feather race to be in vain. They were even shaken, and the feather race kept retreating. Because the 8 gates maze formation was broken, the disciples of the martial pavilion who could not see the feather race could see the feather race outside in an instant. It was really as if they had walked out from the darkness. Kill all these birdmen. In the next moment, someone shouted. All the disciples of the martial pavilion immediately had red eyes. As if they were injected with chicken blood, they charged towards the feather race crazily. That's right, they were going crazy. After being suppressed for too long, the disciples of the martial pavilion were so sullen that they were about to go crazy. The feeling of being a sitting duck and waiting to be slaughtered was too unbearable. Now, They could finally see the light of day again. Seeing the valiance of the disciples of the martial pavilion venting their anger, Jiang Chen could not help but smile. The higher-ups of the feather race had deliberately planned this to sever the future of the human race, but they did not expect it to stimulate the fighting spirit and bravery of the geniuses of the human race. Every single person who had experienced death would disregard life and death, and every single person who disregarded life and death would undoubtedly be very frightening in battle. Just like the disciples of the martial pavilion at this moment, every single one of them was a tiger, full of blood and full of battle power. They all felt that they had regained their lives. To put it bluntly, they did not care about their lives in battle. It was a profit anyways. On the other hand, the feather race, who was originally in an advantageous position, was instantly thrown into chaos. The entire camp was in chaos, and faced with the crazy attacks of the disciples of the martial pavilion, they were immediately thrown into chaos. They could not even use their wings to fly. What's going on? What's going on? How did they destroy the formation? Isn't this a formation set up by a heavenly source expert? How did they destroy it? Damn it, the formation has been destroyed. They can see us now. Everyone, hold your ground. Let's fight it out with them. We, the feather race, have a huge advantage. We are not afraid of them. Even without the formation, we can still kill them all. This is a big test for the feather race. Kill these humans and destroy the future of the human race. The feather race was in chaos. The 8th young master quickly reorganized himself, and the folding fan in his hand turned into a magnificent spear at this moment. It had to be said that the 8th young master was quite good at competing. He could still maintain his composure at the crucial moment and lead the way. But in reality, the 8th young master was also panicking in his heart. He had already started to curse in his heart. He was very clear about the 8 gates maze formation. Logically speaking, the geniuses of the human clan should have been killed by such a terrifying formation. He couldn't figure out why the formation would suddenly fail. He would never believe that there was someone among the disciples of the martial pavilion who could break the formation. At the same time, on the other two sides, the 8 gates maze formation was destroyed. The disciples of the martial pavilion, who had been howling in despair, suddenly roared and rushed over when they saw that the formation had been destroyed, and the disciples of the feather race were smiling as if they were prey. The disciples of the martial pavilion were dumbfounded. They did not know why the formation suddenly failed, but it was a good thing. It was the hope of the human race. Kill, kill! Avenge our dead brothers! Li Long's voice was hoarse. As the captain of the martial pavilion, he had witnessed the tragic death of his disciples one by one, but there was nothing he could do. He had long been aggrieved. At this moment, seeing the enemy in front of him, how could he resist? He held the saber in his hand and went straight to Zhao Chenkuan, the 6th young master. It seemed that he wanted to vent all the grievances in his heart. Kill! The disciples of the martial pavilion launched a desperate reunion. It was no longer important who broke the formation, at least not for the time being. The most important thing now was to kill the feather race and avenge the dead. During this period, although some disciples of the martial pavilion had died, the overall number of disciples of the martial pavilion exceeded that of the feather race, so they still had strong combat power. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.